Morning. Morning, everyone. Sorry, I was waiting in the wrong class. There we go. I had opened Photoshop. Anyway. There we go. Good morning. Oh, you're all still getting into sound, audio. Good morning, Monica. Good morning, Shayna. Hi, Mason. Sorry, guys. I opened up the Photoshop class and I'm sitting there going, okay, no one's showing up. After a couple of minutes, I figured something was wrong. It's not Photoshop morning. Yay. It's all right. So head over to the chat, please. And hi, Vera. All right, that's Peggy. Hello, hello. So you might notice, by the way, when you when you listen to the recordings, in the past I waited till someone showed up before I started speaking. Now I've discovered when I do that, sometimes YouTube doesn't put closed captions on it when I post it, and it needs to be closed captioned for the class. So the moment I start the recording, I start talking. And so I have just talking to myself going, hello, hello, how are you? Just trying to get sound to go. So if you watch the recordings, that little thingy until people start coming in, I'm not being crazy or speaking to myself. I'm just trying to get sound to happen. So how's everyone doing today? I was left without much of a voice. It's pretty, my husband sells he's a potter and he sells his pottery, and we went to a festival yesterday and there was loud music where he was selling, and I was just helping him set up and put up, but there was loud live music and people having a party, and it was great, but I was like yelling to have myself heard and my voice is all broken. Anyway, go to the chat and give me a big hello. And then if you mind, I need to run for a second to get my coffee, which I left in the kitchen. So I'll be back in 1 second. Speak amongst yourselves so that the recording happens. Say hi. All right. Sorry about that. I managed to spill a bit of it. So, wow, what a disaster. Anyway, it's one of those mornings. All right. So where's everyone else? I know we have a small class, but this is really small. Let me see. Did anyone else email me this morning saying they weren't coming? It's possible. I did have a couple people. I have 2 people in Europe. Yay, good for them. Lisa should be here. So must have forgotten he signed up because he didn't show up the other day too. I need to write to him. I know he showed up at the end. Okay, I guess we're a small group today. I mean, normally we're a class, our class is going to be anything from 20 to 30 people, of which 5 might not show up. So then we're 15, sometimes we're 12 is like the smallest, but now our entire class is signed up as 11. So if 3 or 4 are gone and 1 never came, and next thing you know, this is us, right? So anyway, we'll see. I'm so accustomed to this is not the class yet, but if this is it, let's get going. Let me make for a second, let me share with us the Padlet. Here we go. So we had a lot of people responding to the Padlet. That's wonderful. I'm putting you guys open big here. So a lot of work going on, a lot of zany stars and strange shapes, just testing everything out. I love it. Thank you guys. That's the way to go. That's the way to learn in this class. I mean, this is just the one class, and look at everything you guys posted with such a small class, right? So I appreciate that. And was there anything in what we did that was you know, hard or complicated that you tried to do that didn't work, that you want to review or rectify before we go on? Anything from last class? Nope. All right. I love Vera took Illustrator for the first time last session, and she was really confronted and couldn't at the beginning think that this was going to work for her. And one thing I really appreciate is that during the week, she just really did a lot of practice and, you know, posted her work and got much better. And I see you're at it again. So well done.
The stars continued to give me trouble until I learned to put my finger on the option for it to go back to the default star. But unless I turn Illustrator off, it won't go back to what Illustrator comes with.
To clean the tool out. Yeah. Not to clean the tool out, to reset the tool. There we go. Clean the tool sounds weird, but yeah, to reset the tool from when you, because sometimes you can go, you know, you're not sure you're leaning on it, but next thing you know, you've got 2,000 tips and it's impossible to back off from that. And it sometimes when you get too many tips in there, it Illustrator stops working well, because it's dealing with a number that's so humongous, but it's so easy to do if you just kind of lean on the button for a little bit. Suddenly you get, literally you can get, you know, 700 tips or something, and that Illustrator just suddenly becomes really sluggish and doesn't know how to work. So yeah, that's a good one. So we'll show everyone how to do that. Okay, so just remind me who's on VDI and who's on their own applications. So go ahead and give me a green check mark if you have your computer with your own subscription, and a red X if you are on VDI, just so that I can remember how to support everyone. Okay, so those of you who are here are mainly on your own applications. Vera, you're on VDI, right?
No, I'm on my own now.
Oh, that's true. You got your own. Okay. Oh, well, so maybe I don't need to be on VDI. Well, someone's going to show up who's going to be on VDI, so I'm going to still connect to VDI, but instead of going slow, I'll just connect quickly, which I only, you know, show it slowly at the beginning, and then, but yeah, if everyone's here, then I have some more things that I want us to work on in the handout. So while I'm waiting, I want us to go, well, this is connecting. I want us to go to the handouts. So everyone, home or not home, head over to the web, any web page, and head over to Pipeline. Okay, so basically you go to svcc.edu. Oh, I typed an extra letter, sbcc.edu, and we're going to download some class files. So then once you get from SBCC to SBC, once you get, by the way, I was told, I was so unaware that you can start registering for fall classes as of today. I cannot believe it's already that time. And I'm glad I just saw the reminder here. So if you want to look at the catalog, I'm going to go check and send you guys information of what I teach in the fall. I'm not even like present right now to what I have in the fall, but in case you're the kind of person who really wants to catch something before some, you know. Anyway, so SBC.edu here on the left side, go to pipeline. So everyone needs to do this. Let's go ahead and head over to the word student once you're inside of pipeline, and then down to the word student resources. So now what I'm showing you is how to get to the handouts and class recordings. Okay. And then here on the right side, we go to Google Drive. And then here on the left side, we'll go to shared drives. Okay. Once you're in shared drives, you should be seeing, in your case, you'll be seeing probably just Illustrator unless you're in more than one of my classes. So I have quite a few here. That this is the one that you should be seeing, the Illustrator shared drive. Double click on that one. And once you're here, remember that this is where you get your Zoom class recording links. So right now, if I were to double click on this one, you would see the link here for the first day of class, which I know I emailed you guys, but I only do that the first week. In the future, I don't email this recording. You just kind of come here and look for the links, okay? But once you open it, it's kind of its own window. So you need to go back in the tab to Illustrator, or just close this if you don't need it. You can close this tab, but you have to go back because it opens as its own window. All right, and then most of you I saw posted in the Padlet, but just in case, reminder that over here you have the link for Padlet. And by the way, I'll just go ahead and put the link here in our chat again in case anyone is inspired to put something else in the Padlet. All right, and then this is the folder that's called Download Class Illustrator Files. Now, for some of you guys that you just took the class last session, so let me open them first. For those of you who never have had them, I want you to just right click and download. That's all you need to do, right click and download. For those of you who have already seen some of these files, let's open up. I didn't take anything out. It was a crazy week, but I added stuff. So you can just download the whole thing again if you want and just throw away the folder from last class, because this is the same plus. Or you can download this one again and then, you know, get rid of the other one in case you have things that you made. Or let me just tell you that this, like, which classes are new, which is the bald eagle, the beach house, this bird, this cog, there's quite a few, this mountain, this turtle, and these two rockets. So, oh, and this practice sheet. So in the end, I mean, I needed to call. I didn't have a chance to call. There's quite a few things that are there that are new. So later you might want to go back on the recording and see what I pointed out, and then just download only those individual ones, or you know, instead of downloading the whole thing again. It's up to you which way you want to do it. But if you've never downloaded the files, please download the whole thing, even though we're not going to use the ones that exactly the same ones that we used last class. So we're not going to use all of these, but it's the best I could do today. And let's go ahead and I want to, once you download them, they will be in your downloads folder. Okay, so you can either keep them there and work from your downloads folder, move them to your desktop. I highly recommend not moving to your desktop. I said that and immediately canceled myself. A lot of people do that. They work off of their desktop, but especially if you're a Mac person, you should not work off your desktop. The computer uses the desktop to operate. Okay, so if you have files on your desktop, please move them to your documents folder. Okay, that's just a much better place for things to be worked from. So that's just anyway, so now I'm going to back up a little bit again. So to show you again how we did that, we just go to downloads, right click, and hit the downloads. Okay, so if there's any questions there, please let me know. Otherwise, I know that they're not big files, so it probably should have been done downloading by now. And one thing that I haven't used in this class, when I teach the digital design techniques, when I teach the Photoshop class, I always teach people how to use Bridge. The only time that it's not as necessary is when I teach the Illustrator class. We don't really need Bridge, but if you are someone who's already taken one of my classes and has used Bridge, I recommend that you open Bridge to see these files and work with them. But we don't necessarily need to. So I'm back in VDI to get myself signed in. Give me a second. Because whoever is going to use VDI has the files ready to go. Okay, because they will be here in this Google Drive. So now for people who has not used Bridge before, give me a no if you've never used Bridge before. And I know that, you know, my son, Peggy, Vera, people who've taken my class before have used it, but yeah, Shayna, you haven't used it. How about you, Monica? Yeah. So Bridge is a program that comes with a Creative Cloud. Even if you if you use any other Adobe application, like when you use only one Adobe application, you're fine. You can just go file, open, go find the file you want to open, like we do in just about every application in the world. But when you use multiple Adobe applications, then through Bridge, it's a program that allows you to, it's kind of like a super powered finder in that you can see all types of Adobe extensions files. And then when you click on a file, it opens on the right application and it helps you transfer files from one to another. And in Photoshop, it has even more functions. But so if you're going to be doing, say, a flyer where you have a Photoshop file and an Illustrator file and an InDesign file, when you're combining material, Bridge is a great program to work from. But since we're solely learning Illustrator right now, I'm going to have us just stay in Illustrator for now. I'll see if it makes any sense if we create a multiple level file. I might have us open it, but for now, let's go ahead and just create something. No, let's open some. Oh, so does everyone have their files downloaded? Yep. Okay, so we're going to open one of those new files. So we're going to say file, open. And see, one of the things that I like about Bridge is that you see your files in, you see the little previews of them. When you're on a Mac, you can see pretty good previews. On the PC, it's a bit harder, but I'm on the PC because of VDI. So when I say file open, because I'm on VDI, I'm going to have to go to Google Drive right here. But you guys go find wherever your files downloaded. If they are in your downloads folder, go find wherever your files might be. I'm going to head over to shared drives and double click because that's where I'm going to get the files from. And then I'm going to open the Illustrator shared drives and the Illustrator class files. And here we are. Now, see, this is the part about opening things from Illustrator as a file open, is that things appear as files names and it's harder for me, for anyone to know if you don't know the file, if you look at it by name, to know what file you're trying to open up. Versus, I'll show you later. I'm going to open InDesign and show you guys what I'm going to do. But right now, what I want us to do is go to one of the new files, which is paintedhills.jpg. Oh, there comes Saul. And before we open it, I want you to notice that it's a JPEG. So a JPEG file is not an Illustrator file. It is not a vector file. So I had you guys in the homework. Let me head over to the, I have too many things open. In the class files. Good morning, Saul. How are you? Good, good.
All right,
And
all right.
I'm heading over to the class files because I just had everyone download them. And I know that you have a set from last session, and I was just warning people that I've added, I didn't take any away, but I've added new ones. So if you just want to download the ones that are missing.
Okay.
Oh, no, you're on VDI.
Yes.
Yeah, so you can use them from Google, so you're fine.
Okay.
So I wanted to show you then, since from the folder, these are the files we're downloading, that most of the files that we have here are .ai. AI extensions are the, most of these are AI, you'll see everywhere, just Adobe Illustrator. But a few of them say JPEG, or in this case, PNG. And I believe there's a couple more. Here's a TIFF. Okay, so those are file, here's an SVG. So there's a couple different files here that I've added. And what does that mean? Illustrator creates artwork that's vector. Now, did you guys get a chance to, I believe I had asked you to read graphic file types or differences between Photoshop last week. So if you guys read that, and in case you forgot, I'll give you just a one sentence paragraph of it. Oh, there you go. Shayna's like, whenever I say the word raster files, raster, it's a strange word because you don't say it any other time other than here, or a pixel based file, the pixel file, those are Photoshop type of files. And that's based on the kind of element, which is pixel, that is needed by Photoshop, well, photo cameras or scans. If you scan something in, it'll turn the image into pixels, versus Illustrator, which creates vector files. And so there's a way, though, in which we can interact between inside of Illustrator with some of these vector files. So JPEGs and again here, PNGs and TIFFs, those are vector files. But I just asked you to open up vector files. So when I said that, if you're inside of Illustrator, right, and you say open, normally you would place a file, but I didn't tell you guys to place it. So let's see what happens if you just open and try to insert a JPEG, which is a raster file. Okay, and let's say open. So, by the way, so I had said go to the files and open Painted Hills, and that's when you bopped in. So that's the one that we're opening. If I say open from inside of Illustrator, where I said file open. Did I wait too long? There it is. Oh. Just move this out a little bit lower. There we go. So this image here is a photograph, and yet you see this line or outline, I guess, that we have in there. If I select with my selection tool, move over to your selection tool, I'm noticing that Illustrator, I said, oh, because it's coming in with this really low. Let me see if I can get it to No, I don't want the photo to be bigger. My Illustrator. Oh, I need to leave for a second and go to, see how it's so tiny that even I can't see the application. You guys might be having even more trouble seeing it when I'm sharing it. I hate it when it does this. This is, okay, I need to close that Illustrator for a second, guys, because when it does this, it just doesn't, it's, I have to open my VDI again. There. Okay, that was a bit too big, but all right, let me head back to no. I've lost my taskbar. Sorry, I hate it when Illustrator, when VDI does this sometimes, that it won't let me. I don't know that it's fixed, but let me open Illustrator again and see if that worked. Anyway, let me describe what you're seeing while my Illustrator opens up again. If not, I'm going to have to go into the settings of VDI. I don't want to do that, but let me test this first. That outline or that box that you see is, let me see, let me try it one more time, file open, is the artboard. I've taken forever as if it's a big mystery. It's just that I'm trying to get this fixed. Where are we? Painted Hills. Here we go. Let me open again. And let's hope this time it opens correctly. So we have a photograph that is way bigger. Yeah, it's working now. See how my tools got big now? It was just a whole resolution thing that it's hard. I can't teach you when the tools are like microscopical in size. Okay, so now I'm going to hit Control-0. And when I hit Control or Command-0, if you're on a Mac, remember that if you're on a Mac with VDI, then you're still on a PC. So when you hit Control-0 or Command-0, you end up seeing the outline fill in your screen, because remember that Command or Control-0 shortcut is to put your artboard fit into your screen so you see everything in your artboard. But in this case, what happens is that we have a ton more stuff around it. So now I'm going to hold down the Control or Command key and hit minus a few times, minus, minus, minus. So we go back to where we saw this whole thing. And there we go with the selection tool in hand. We can grab this and move it around and discover that it is truly just a photo. And if I move it over a little bit enough, that is my artboard. Now, the artboard per se came out as whatever size that the artboard would have been normal to have before, like whatever the default artboard was that you used last time that you opened Illustrator, all these programs, Adobe, they're very consistent. They give you the tools the way you used them last time. So, so if I want to know what size my artboard is, because we might not remember what size we used last time, then we can go to the artboard tool, which is this little guy right above the zoom tool. You can click on the artboard tool, and now it's showing you your artboard. And in my case, if I look over here, it's 11 by 8.5, basically letter sideways, which I believe is the one that we used last week. So if you've been playing around in between and making artboards of different size or creating other stuff, you might have something else. But as long as you're kind of doing the classwork, you should probably all have that size artboard. So my intention now is not to make the art any bigger. Sorry, the artboard any bigger, because 8.5 by 11, if I even try to print this as big as I can. But I wanted to show you how you begin to get some idea of dimensions. Another thing that I always have is I have the ruler turned on in Illustrator. So if for shortcut people, it's a very easy one, because all across all Adobe programs, in fact, I think even on Word, Excel, all those places where you might need an arrow, Command or Control-R brings it up. But otherwise, you can go up to the word View. And from View, you can click, you can go scroll down to the word Rulers and then say Show Rulers. Okay. And once you see the rulers, now you have already an idea of what's the measure, the size, but the size is, you could look at the rulers over here. And again, I've done Control or Command minus so that I can zoom out so I can see more than just my artboard. But you'll see that the artboard starts at 0, where the artboard starts, the ruler starts at 0. And then in this corner, it starts at 0 as well. So that's what puts our numbering. And so if I go from end to end, I will see here that this is about 11 and a bit. And then here I'll see that it's 8, right? Or it's 11 and 8, but it's kind of hard to tell when we're so far from it. So, but it's really good. Anything beyond that is minus, right? And so if you look at the coordinates, if I were to click on this big photo now, again, it basically tells me that it's 26 inches by 17 inches. All right. So why are we getting this huge number here? It's because this photo was entered straight as a JPEG, meaning it wasn't, we didn't place it in, we just opened it in Illustrator. So it just opens as big as that photo is in Photoshop. And if you haven't done Photoshop and you have no idea resolution and all of that, all you know is you have a photo in your hand, and that's what you have going. So for now, let's delete this. So I'm going to click on this thing, right, and hit the delete key. And let's instead bring that photo in a way that we can control its size. So now we can do Control and Command 0, so that this is finally our artboard filling our screen. And we're going to bring that photo in again, but this time we're going to place it. We're going to say File and Place. And when we place an image, we can control what we do to this, what we do with the size of that image. So now we get to the exact same spot, File, Place, and it takes us back into the same spot. But now when I scroll to the, what was the name of it? Painted Hills. Here it is, Painted Hills. Okay, and say File, Place. Oh, there I have it open. Yeah. So now it instead is hanging at the tip of my mouse, right? And don't click. Just notice that it's waiting to be put where I want it and the size that I want it. Now, if I were to just single click, we'd end up in the same place as before. I'd have this 26 inch by something photograph. Okay. So if I don't want that, like if I were to just click, that would happen. So now what we're going to do, we're going to click and keep my mouse down and drag open. Okay. So we're going to click and drag. Oh, I was waiting for it too long. I didn't manage to click on that. So I ended up doing the same thing. So I'm going to bring it in again, File, Place. So I hit delete again, okay? So that I can go bring it in one more time because I didn't manage to do my drag well because I was talking. Okay, so now, why is it saying that? I had closed the one that was open, so I don't know why it thinks it's open. Huh. And when I click and drag, I can choose what size to make it. Like that box that I dragged, that size until I let go of my mouse, that's the size that I brought this photo in. So did that work for you guys? All right. So basically, before you try it again, just with your mouse in, so get rid, if you have the big one again, just get rid of it. And then just grab this arrow tool and notice the difference. I'm going to move mine out of the way. Notice the difference, like when you click and drag, you should see like a little kind of dotted box appearing. Do you see that? It's that movement of click and drag where you see, which is what we did yesterday or a week ago with the tools to create a rectangle. We clicked and dragged, you know, to create any of these tools, we clicked and dragged. So it's that movement of controlling the size of something. It's that exact movement. So now bring it in again and see if you can get that to work. And if not, I might ask you to share your screen. I'll watch you do it. So give me a yes, give me a check mark for yes if you got your painted hills to appear at whatever size you wanted versus the full size. And give me a no if it didn't, and then I'll know you need help. Now, the size it appears with originally. So do you want to do you want to share your screen, Monica, so that I can give you a hand? Have you ever shared your screen? Because last week, yeah, you didn't have to share your screen. You weren't in class. Okay, so let's go ahead and are you on a Mac or on a PC? By the way, you're muted, so I can't hear you. So I know I see.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes.
Now.
Okay.
So are you on a Mac or on a PC?
I'm on a Mac.
Okay, good. So when you share your screen, have you ever shared your screen, even if it's on another?
No.
Okay, good. So what's going to happen probably is we're going to have to do some work with system preferences. Some computers have already, you don't have them locked down. You'll probably get a message saying that you need to go open system preferences. So head down to the.
First of all, I have to find you on here.
Oh yeah. So make sure to hit the in the back. It's not so hard. Go to your dock, and in your dock, you'll see the icon for Zoom. You can do a little right click and say view all windows or something like that. Let me see. Show all windows. Cool. If you right click on your icon that has the Zoom icon, and then a little menu shows up that says show all windows, and that usually shows you.
How can I do it on a trackpad?
Oh, right click. Good question, because we're going to use a right click a lot. So yeah, on a trackpad, it's 2 fingers down. That's the right click, 2 fingers at the same time.
Here we are.
Okay. And when you say show all windows, you should be able to see the window that has the big share screen at the bottom with all the tools. Do you see it now? It's a big green button that says share screen. Nothing yet. You need to, you know what, since you have to hold down your spacebar to talk to me, this is a good time when I'm helping you to actually unmute yourself so that we can talk consistently. So go to it's the same spacebar. Yeah. All right. So if you found that, then now that means you have the spacebar. Sorry, that means you have the toolbar, because that's where the mute button is. And on the right, you have the green share screen button.
Yes.
So once you do that, at the bottom right of that window, there's another little button that says share, blue little button with white letters.
Okay.
When you click on that one, either you will share or you will get a thing that says you need to go to Open System Preferences. You need to tell me where you are.
I'm in System Preferences now.
Good. So now in System Preferences, on the bottom.
Share screen. I found it.
No, if you're in System Preferences, you need to be in System Preferences. So we need to first unlock it. Okay.
Okay.
So first you go to the bottom left of your System Preferences, click on the little lock and put in your computer password.
Oh, geez.
The password that you use when you turn on your computer in the morning. When you first...
Yeah, I'm not on my own computer. So yeah. Hold on, I'm in a complete pickle here right now. So
it's in order to change anything in the System Preferences, you need to have the computer password. Yeah. Is that not, you're not going to have that? If so, then you can't share your screen.
And gosh, I can't even find my screen right now.
Which one are you trying to find? I can help you with that.
I'm in the deep breath phase right now.
I know it's very stressful to be put on don't worry, everyone's been through this. The first time you share your screen, it's confusing. After that, it's simple. So
it's not
we're all
just
fine.
that, it's about finding which where's even my Illustrator screen. Here we
Yeah.
go.
Well, the good thing
Okay.
about the Mac is that you have the dock, and you
Right.
can always go back to the dock and click on the little icon that says AI.
Okay,
And
I
that
found my
opens
Illustrator
Illustrator.
screen. Now I
Okay.
just have to find my Zoom screen over here.
All right. So
Ah,
back
here
to
we
the
are.
Zoom.
Oh, I found you. Okay.
Hi. Okay. All right.
Okay, so I'm on my Zoom screen on the same screen where my Illustrator is. So that's probably where you want me to share it from, correct?
Yeah, but if you don't have your computer's password and you don't know it, then you won't be able to share your screen,
Okay.
because you need to give your computer permission. Your computer's trying to keep you safe and private. And
Okay.
if you don't know your computer, it assumes that someone's trying to crash into your computer or something, so it won't let you share your screen.
Okay.
So
So
let's keep just trying to work it out with
okay.
my sample.
I'm getting
No
some
problem.
info.
No problem. Meanwhile,
Okay.
oh, yep.
Okay, so I got the password. So
Okay,
go
so
there
go
again.
Yeah, go down to your dock and open the system preferences again. That way, like, you just click on the icon of your dock and the system preferences pops up.
The Zoom icon, to be precise, or the computer
No,
systems preferences.
the computer. So
Oh, I see.
like, just like right now, if I go and head down to my, let me share you my.
Hold on, I'm on the Zoom thing, and the green share screen is on. Can we just try it from there?
You can, yeah.
Okay,
But it's
let's
gonna
try that.
send you again
Okay.
to the system preferences. Okay.
Wait, let's see.
Mhm.
There you go.
Ah,
Can
there
see
you
this
go.
now? Yeah.
Yep, it worked. Now you're sharing. Perfect.
It was easier than I thought.
I know. It's just, when there's all these windows going around, sometimes it gets confronting. But there you go. Now that you've done it,
Yes.
it won't ask you for your password anymore. Nothing.
Okay.
It won't. Yeah.
Excellent.
All right. So let's head over up to File and say File Place.
So
And
wait.
File. Okay, and then all the way down to the word place.
A
little bit lower, a bit lower,
Oh,
lower. There.
there.
File place.
Okay, that's
And
what I
now go
didn't see
find
earlier.
find the painted
Painted hills.
hills. There it is. You passed it on the P, a little bit
Yes, I
higher.
did.
Yep, there we go.
There you go.
And let's go. I know now why it says it's open already. Just go
Yeah,
ahead and
because of
say
two
yes.
windows. Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead and say yes. And now just click and drag. A small window, doesn't matter. And don't let go of your mouse before you let go. Anywhere. Doesn't need to be
Okay.
in the corner, just anywhere. Just click and drag. Oh, so you did a single click. So remember, it's click and drag. So hit the delete key.
Delete key, delete.
So when you get, guys, basically the message is when you hit the click, the entire image pops up in big space. Now, before you try that again, hold on. Before you try that again, put your mouse over the white area, just the artboard. Just move it over to, yeah. Now just click and drag, practice the click and drag movement. Just click, yeah. So that you're getting that,
Right.
let go of your mouse and click and drag. So that's kind of what you want to do. Just keep your mouse down and do a drag. Okay, so now do a file place and try it again.
There we go.
There it is, perfect. And guys, this is going to happen with all of these raster files, okay? That you have control over.
Okay, so where would be a good place to just
anywhere.
drag
We're
it to?
just learning to click and drag. That's all we're really doing. Yeah, so let go. Okay, and perfect. There you go. So you choose what size you bring it in now. Okay.
Okay.
Now, there's other considerations of resolution and whatnot. I'm going to stop your share so you can go back to seeing, and I'm going to share my screen. Here we go. Whoops. I messed up with your guys' window. Here we go. Okay, so let me share mine. And There you go. So now you're seeing mine. So basically, when you put in any of these raster files, what you've got here is a file, and you see this little X crossing over it like that. That shows you that it's a placed file. And if you want to see the information about this file, to see if it's the correct resolution, and again, we're not going to talk much about resolution in this computer, in this class. That's something we talk in Photoshop. I also talk about it in the digital design technique class, where I combine Illustrator and Photoshop. But the important thing is that if this is going to be part of the whatever you're printing and that you're making in Illustrator, you can't modify it in Illustrator much. You can't say, oh, I want to have an airplane flying across the sky, or I want this little person that's there walking gone away. You need to open this in Photoshop and do those changes. Maybe you want to make it more or less whatever you want to do. But in our case, we're going to use this right now because we're going to make just a quick little combination of vector with imagery. We're going to make it bigger again. So I'm going to hold down my shift key to keep it in proportion, because if I don't hold the shift key, then I can distort it, right? And if I distort it, there's no way to know how to go back. So I'm going to do Control Z, which is undo. Okay, so if you guys go ahead and distort it first one time by moving it wrong, in a very obviously wrong way. And then hold down the Control Z, tap the letter Z one time, or the Command and tap the letter Z one time, or 2 times if you did 2 things, until you get back. So we're going to be using the undo. That's the shortcut for undo. A lot of people go up to edit to undo. So maybe I'll do like that and mess it up, and I go up to edit and undo up here. But I hate doing that because it takes so much time, right? But that's what you're doing. So see, under the edit undo, there's a shortcut Control Z. Okay, right there. So if you're on a PC, it's Control. If you're on a Mac, it's Command. All right. So the undo is one of your best friends. Now, when you use these shortcuts, the Control gets held down. And then if you made 2 or 3 mistakes, you tap the Z 1, 2, 3 times, but you don't let go of the Control, stays down. Okay. So every time you hit the Control, in the letter Z, it keeps going backwards. If then you went backwards too much, you redo something, which is Shift Control, or in the case of the Mac, Shift Command Z. Okay. Now, then, now that I've messed this one up, I'm going to do Control Z, and see, I'm moving it around. And so the thing isn't fixing itself. Why? Because the first time I tap the Z is because I moved it and it goes back to its place. The second Z is the one that fixes that I messed the resolution. Okay. So that's how, and I did not let go of the Z. All right. So now I want to move it and make it proportional. So I hold down the Shift key. And if I click on the corner, any of these handles, these white handles, okay, holding down the Shift key, then I can make it expand proportionally. And that's what usually you want to do with a photograph, unless for any reason it's very, if it's very, if it's an abstract or something like that, it might be okay to distort it, but maybe the rocks can be made wider and no one can tell, but the person would look strange, right? Anyway, so make it a little bit bigger, but I don't care how big or small you had it. The idea is that I want you to learn how to manipulate the size of the shape of an image, okay? And now, I'm going to leave it small for, sorry, big. Move it over, make it biggish. How about, I can make it bigger, a little bit bigger than the artboard, okay? So you can have things in Illustrator that are bigger than an artboard. And that's good. So I'm making it, I'm going to do Control Command minus so that I can see it a little better. So I'm making it a little bit bigger than the artboard. And it doesn't matter. You can, whatever I'll show you later, we can change the size. But for now, I'm going to make it a little bit, you know what, to make it easier for everyone, let's first make it a little bit smaller. We're going to make, I'll show you how to make it bigger later. Let's just keep it up there just to make it a bit easier to work within the artboard. Okay, then click away. Okay, so click away, meaning when I say click away, if this was selected, it has all these boxes, which is it's the container, right? We worked on that a little bit last week. It's the bounding box, and we click away, we click on any of this white stuff to just deselect that was there. And then we're going to go into the type tool. And we're going to head down into this empty space. I was going to have us type it on top, but it's easier to understand what's happening. And before I click, okay, so if I just select the type tool, before I click, I could head over here to the right where you see the area of the characters in the properties panel. And you can see that it's going to give me a font size Myriad Pro regular 12 points. And I know that that's going to be too small. 12 points is an 8.5 by 11 sheet, is going to be a tiny little word. So I can change it before I do this. I can click on this arrow and make it a little bit bigger, 12, 13 points. Or I can go to this side of the arrow and make it a lot bigger really quickly. We can say 36, 47, I don't know, points. So let's just make it, I don't know, 48 points, something like that, so we can see it. And later we can fix how big we want it. Okay. And then we can go over here and we can write the
Deanna,
word.
my
Yes.
characters don't show up on the right side. What am I missing?
Have you selected the type tool? Yeah.
I have,
Are you in the properties panel
yes.
and you don't see the characters? Let's go and reset your screen. Head up here to these
Reset essentials?
yeah, reset essentials, just to make sure that your
No, it
basic
didn't show up.
properties. Okay, then if something doesn't show up the way it technically should, then everything you can always open from window and then go to the word looking for characters, type,
Type character.
you found it, type characters.
Yeah,
Okay.
it came up as a separate box. Thank you.
Yeah, it's a separate box, but it's there. Okay, so then you can make it bigger. Okay, and then let's when you click in Illustrator to start typing, it puts in a word for you. It puts in this word lorem ipsum, which is a space holder waiting for you to put in your own word. This is Latin. And so now we're going to write the word rock in uppercase. So hold down the shift key and write the word rock. And see how it replaced the lorem ipsum? And this is the word that we have now. The lorem ipsum was that Latin phrase that appears just to show us temporary placeholder text. All right, so does everyone, I'm going to clear your screen. Just if you need help because it did not work for you, then either speak up, or so few of us, you can just speak up, or you can give me a no. I'm accustomed to having 20 people needing to say at the same time. And so then I need to see the numbers, but you can just speak up. All right, so now we need to manipulate this font, and instead of making this be bigger right now, if I want to make it any bigger, I have to click and select it again, and I don't want to do that. So I can go back to the move or V or basic selection tool, and then I can see that when I do that, I get again a bounding box. Again, if I click away and I select it, everything in Illustrator is held by a bounding box. Remember, we made an ellipse the other day and it was held by a bounding box. So everything gets held when you're in this arrow tool. Everything has a bounding box around it. So this is the text bounding box, this everything has a bounding box. I'm going to get rid of that one. And so just like we did before, if it's a bounding box, if I want to make it bigger, I can get one of the corners, hold down the shift key to make it bigger. Okay, same as what we did with the illustration. We can do that because I'm operating it from as if it were an object from the bounding box. Okay, And so if you don't hold down the shift key, you distort the text, which is really bad. So Control or Command Z. And then because it's going to be impossible for you to guess if you do this exactly what was the right spot. Like it'll still be wrong. So never try to fix things, try to undo them. So I'm going to undo twice now to get back to the original. So it's much easier to undo than to fix things. All right. So now I'm going to go ahead and try to find a font that gives me a very fat font. Instead of this one, I want a very fat, wide font. It might be that I can find that if I go here where it says regular, maybe I have a bold font here that might work. There we go. This one might work, but it's also bold condensed. So I'm not sure that's what I want. So instead, I'm going to go up here where it says Myriad Pro, and I'm going to click on this arrow, and all these different possible fonts appear, which are fonts that, for the most part, are the fonts that exist in your computer. So here I have a big fat one. Look, it's called Bauhaus 93, but I have it, but you might not have it because we all have different fonts on our computers, right? So you keep looking and notice that here, this is a live preview, it's called, because when I hover over the fonts, it gives me an idea of what it's going to look like. Okay, I can even move this over a little bit more in this case, because if not, it's showing up under there. And so here I can, so I'm going to scroll down. Now, the thing about, and I teach this in every one of the Adobe classes that you have, in every one of them, you're going to see the same box for type. So it doesn't matter which application you use. You can spend hours looking at all the different fonts that you have, or you can say, well, I know exactly what I want. I want a big, black, wide font, right? So you could choose this filter here to filter and go up here to see only the fonts that show, for example, big, heavyweight fonts. And so I can click on that, for example. So I'm making a filter. So over here now, I'm only seeing the big fat fonts. Okay, so here I'm coming upon this one. Also, you can choose maybe to have a font that doesn't have these little kind of little edges to the letter. Those are serifs. You can say, I don't want serifs, I want sans serifs. So you click over here for sans serif. So now I have two selections made. I have sans serif and I have big fat font or bold, but some are bigger than bold, they're called black. And now I can scroll down and it makes a little bit more sense because I'm only seeing possible big fat fonts. Does that make sense? It's like I've brought down my choices to something that I know that I'm looking for. And now I'm going to choose one of these. I don't know which, any. I'm going to go with one of these. They're all pretty similar. I think I'm going to go with Verdana. There you go. I'm going to click on Verdana. But it's just showing you how to use the filter for things if you ever need that. All right. So now, again, stop me if that didn't work or if you have any more questions about that. If no one stops me, I'll keep going. Now, I first brought in the painting, and then the next thing I did is I made the text. So if I try to put this one on top of that one, it's going to work. Because remember that things appear below or above in order of how you make them. Remember we did that last week? Now, if instead I wanted the rock to go underneath, I would have to go to the layers. Just as a reminder, this is a little bit of bringing up review from last week. Go up to the layers, expand my layers by clicking on this arrow, and then I have my two choices. And if I were to put my rock under right there and let go, then when I try to put the rock on there, it would show up underneath. Okay, so I want you guys to do that. I want you to go to find your layers. And then you'll see that it says layer 1, but you need to expand using this little arrow. And then you could change the position of your rock and then try to move it under, and you'll see that it should be under. Now, ultimately, I want to leave it on top, so I'm going to move it back up. And so it's that blue line has to happen. See how there's a blue line that puts right to where I want it, and then I can move it up or down. Okay, so in Illustrator, we have one layer. but multiple elements on the layer. Okay, so sometimes we make multiple layers, but mainly we do it more for like different types of documents. If we're making a flyer or something like that, but if we're just making one shape, this can stay in all in one layer. Let's put the rock text on top of these mountains. And now the idea is that I want to make this text is going to be using the, let's head back to properties by the way. So this rock text is going to be using the hillside to paint the text. So let me first show you what I'm trying to do so you have an idea of where we're going. That's what we're going to be doing. Okay, so just so you know where we're heading. So my goal is first that we're going to have, see how my R was still in the sky, right? And the K, the tip of the K didn't have enough rock. So I'm gonna go enough image. So I'm gonna get smaller. And I'm gonna grab this now holding the shift key and make the bottom image big enough that a lot of that mountain, okay, is going to be in the hill area for the word rock. Does that make sense? So I can manipulate the size of my image so that now most of the image underneath it has some of that hillside. Okay, so first do that by manipulating the sizes of both of them until you find that this kind of works. All
I
right.
have a question.
Yes, Shayna.
So I missed the part where you made the type bigger instead of typing into the font size. You made it bigger with the
Yeah, so just from the outlines, just like same as the picture, hold down your shift key and grab,
Shift
let me move it out here. Just hold down this shift key and grab the grab the corner and you can make it bigger or smaller. Okay.
Interesting. It's for some reason it's not working for me. Maybe my shift key's being weird.
It's possible, there's different ways of using the text tool. It's possible that you made a box and then it doesn't work that way. Can you share your screen or do
Yes. Yes.
there's two types of text in Illustrator. And if you click, you get one thing. If you click and drag, you get another thing. So this font is called point type and it works that way, but you might have the other type. So I'll let you share your
Okay.
screen and let me see if that's what you did.
Share this. Okay. So I
Okay.
have this.
All right. So let me see. Hold on.
So I shift.
I need to make it, okay. Okay. So yeah, you have the other type of font. Yeah. So there's two ways of writing in Illustrator. And so here, just move this out onto the white area. Just grab this text and move it into the white area. Yeah. And this is called area type. I'll teach you about the types of type. So now let's write this one again. Go back to the type tool. And this time, just no, see, you're making an area. Okay, so
I
delete
see.
that. Instead, you just want a single click.
Okay.
There you go. Now write the word rock.
I see. That's
an uppercase. So you can back up.
oh, right.
Now, the thing is that I didn't teach you this yet. But basically everything I'm teaching you is that when you click with a tool in Illustrator, one thing happens. When you click and drag, a different thing happens. Now go back to the move tool, to the selection tool.
Yeah.
And now that one will work. That if you click on the corner and stretch, it'll work.
Okay.
Now
perfect.
One is called area type tool, which is the other one, and this is point type tool, which is when you point and click. Okay.
Okay. Perfect.
So you'll learn more about that later. But meanwhile, I figured that's what would happen, but it was nothing I could explain without first seeing you. So there we go.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So, but now that teaches everyone that just like with the picture that we brought in and replaced, or with the stars or with the rocks, what you do with your mouse the moment you start something really does make a difference, right? So just keep an eye on that. Now, I'm going to share mine. Is everyone okay? Does anyone else need Nope. Okay, so then I'm going to share my screen. Need a hand. Let's try to see. All right, so now we have our rock. I'm going to put back up here in the rock. I'm gonna make mine a little bit bigger, I think, when I was sharing. Okay, and then now that I'm overlapping what I think will look like it's just in the rocks, now I have to click and select both of these at the same time. So remember how I said that the best way to select two things is if you click and drag across both choices, right? So if I were to come over here and do just a click and drag like there, I'm touching the rock word and the hills. And I let go, that's enough. I know I've selected both. The other option would be to first click on rock, hold down the shift key, and then click on the mountain. Now I have both, but I find it easier to just do that, and boom, that's enough of each. So I have both. So you should have a line under the rock and you should have the sky. So both the things have to be selected and the text has to be on top of the art. Okay. And now we can make down here in the properties panel, we can head down and there it says make clipping mask and click on make clipping mask. And now we will have a rock that's made out of that image. Now I can click on this and again, if I want to make it bigger or smaller or whatever, it's a rock made out of box. Let me know if you succeeded, if it worked out. Cool.
It worked, Deanna. When
Yeah.
you drag a tiny JPEG into Illustrator, does it mean that it won't be pixelated if I print it?
Vera, it's a great question, by the way, and she's asking this based on resolution because she's taken my other class where I said I talked a lot about resolution. Yes, if you bring a tiny one, you can't make it past its 300 ppi, but this one was big. So you see how big it came in automatically? So we know that it'll be fine because remember that when we brought it in, it was way bigger than the outputs. Also, you can go in and look at the resolution and all that, but just the fact that when you brought it in with a single click, it got so big, you know, when we first opened it, you know that you can go as big as this, right?
Okay.
So you definitely need to keep an eye on that. So that's a very good point. Now, if everyone got to this rock, then I want you to make a copy of it, right? So click on it and hold down your Option or Alt key and then drag out and you get another one right there. So that means that we've copied. These are two elements that have been put together. We still have the background and we still have the text. It's not like the rock became this color. This is still a combined element. And this combined element is actually a compound path. So we're going to spend a little bit of time talking about that, but let's go to the bottom one here. And notice that here on the right, where before it said clipping path, now it's already a clipping path. So instead, if we want to undo that, we can say release mask and we click on release mask and we're back to having the original two elements. Does that make sense? It's not that the color turned into the letters and then I can't, change it anymore. It was just that it's something you're masking. The rock is called a mask where it's hiding everything that's not part of the letters ROCK, but the rest of the image is there. Okay. Now you can do Control or Command Z if you want to undo that you released it, or you can just make the clipping path again, which is showing up to get back to having it. I just wanted to show you that the elements are still there. They've been joined, but it's not that we don't have, it's not that the letters have been colored. Okay. Now, so much so are the elements still the same that we can still edit the elements. We can still move the photograph around, or we can still move the text around and change the word. So for example, I'm going to go to the type tool now, and I'm going to click in here. Like when I put my mouse over this and do a single click, it's gonna put in the cursor. And if I want to select that, I can. Now let me write the word sky. When I let go, I have a sky that's made out of rock. But notice that now that I can move it around and I'm seeing different parts of the sky, and I could send it up. But let me show you again what I did. When you first select it, it's 2 elements and it moves around. But what I want to do is I want to get in there and separate the two so that I can have the sky portion here. So one way I can do that, if I go back to this, if you've changed the word text, then that already is isolating it. But say that you didn't have that. If you go back into the selection tool, now they're connected again. Another way to disconnect them is to double click. So I'm going to double click, right? And so I'm walking into this group. And then I can change the text that way, but we already had changed the text. So now let's back out again, hit the escape key. The other way to get in there, I'm going to hit the escape key, which is the top escape key from my keyboard, top left key of my keyboard. Another way to get in is to go to layers. If I go to layers, I will see that I have 2 clipping masks. Here, this one says the word rock. If I open it up, it says rock and the photo. And this one here says sky. It's rock and the photo. It's sky and the photo. So I can choose to select only the sky right here. And when I do that, see how the box that holds the sky appears. And now I can click and drag around until I see just the sky. Because there was a portion of this photo that had the sky, remember? And I drag it around until I hit the sky. So the entire photo is still there. And you can move it around by selecting just the sky. So I've shown you 2 or 3 different ways to do this. Oh, wait, I have to select again to have only this one selected. And then I can move this, sorry, that one selected, and then I can move that. Right. Hit the escape key if you're still in isolation mode, or deselect, and you should now have a sky that has clouds. Maybe I should put it up here, sky and rock. That makes more sense. Sky at the top, rock at the bottom. Okay, so with one photo, we have created some clipping masks. And this is why I wanted a fat font so that we could see through it. You could make it with something thinner as well, of course, but this is better for the example. If you did it and you completed it and it's looking good, I'd appreciate if you do a screenshot and send it up. Now, remember, it's a good idea when you do your screenshot, if you show me your layers, then I can see, you know, your clipping masks. Well, you don't have to, but it's kind of nice to see different people's work. So I'm going to stop my share for a second here. Let you guys, do you remember how to do the screenshots to get all this up into the Padlet? I'm going to go look for the link for the Padlet to give you the Padlet link again.
I'd like to put it up on Padlet, but I cut off my S in the sky. I reached the edge and I don't know how to get back to fix that.
Okay, so go ahead and get me your, share your screen so that I can help you. And meanwhile, I am putting the Padlet link. Oh, I had already put the Padlet link, I noticed, but there it is again. Okay, so here we go. So yeah.
I cut it off right here and I want to go back and fix it.
Yeah, I found that the easiest way is to just select the type tool, and that kind of then go select the type tool again, which is when we first, yeah, and then click in there with a, yeah. So now when you did that, now that you, like, yeah, now if you go and select your move tool or your selection tool, now go select your selection tool. Now your sky is easy to grab and move around. There you go.
Okay, here we go. All
Okay.
right. Thank you.
You're welcome. That's the easiest way. Then if not, you can do it the other 3 ways that I showed, but that one was the quickest one. So perfect. There you go. Rock and sky. All right. So did that work for everyone? Monica, Maysan, Shayna, Saul, you're all good?
Yeah.
All right. So I gave you the Padlet link. Go ahead and put it in here. Okay. I'm gonna head back to, you don't need to do it immediately. You can do it after class, but I'm just reminding you that this
Diana,
is a good place to do a yes,
can I share my screen with you?
of course.
Okay. So I went, here we are.
Perfect. Yes. Mhm.
I'm
All right.
stuck.
Oh, no, that's fine. You are very close. You need to now select both sky and the photograph, and you only have the sky selected. Okay. So
I
click in
see.
there and drag,
Okay, hold on.
and there you go. Now you have both.
I have both. Okay.
And now you can go to
Oh, there
bottom
we
right
go.
and
Make
say
clipping
make
mask.
clipping path. There
Yay.
you go. Perfect.
Okay. Thank
All
you.
right. So because the clipping always is a mask that affects an image. So it's text
Makes
and
sense.
image.
Yes,
So
Joanna.
both, otherwise the choice make clip path doesn't appear. Like if I don't have 2 things selected, it just
Right.
is not a choice for you.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Well done. Now, as you can see, I did this very basic sky, rock, it's like kind of very obvious, but you can have flowers behind the word summer. I mean, there's just a lot of different things. And this is used a lot in magazines and editorial kind of thing. Yeah, I would not recommend doing something like this, say for a logo or anything like that, because you don't really want to have a combination of pixel or raster based kind of images in the background of a logo. Just wanted to throw that out. But for flyers, for posters, for for decorative reasons, for, as I said, for magazines, for articles, for that kind of thing, this is a really cool trick. Now, the make clipping mask that I just showed you worked in this case for this very obvious example. But and I don't know if anyone tried other words or is trying something new, but I'm seeing some of you guys are posting. There you go. In Padlet. Let me head back to our class. There we go. But yeah, so as homework, what I'd love you guys to try some other stuff with some more original words, with some other ideas. You could have family, and then they have the word family, and in the background you see like a group photo where you see portions of people or something like that. It's really good. Anyway, oh, actually, now that I think about it, one of my son's logo. I just said that, and I just noticed that one of my son's logos is kind of like that. I'll ask him to share it with me. Not a logo, it's like a screen that he has anyway for one of his projects. So it's a pretty cool one, but he's not here right now. So I'll ask him to share it with me, and I'll share it with you guys next week. All right, so that's a cool little effect that you can do without, just knowing a little bit about text, a little bit about placing an image. As I said, you're not altering the image. For that, you need to go into Photoshop. You can just make it bigger or smaller. And yes, Vera, your question about resolution is you always need to be clear that the image is big enough. And I believe in our handouts, I have, for those of you who want to know more about where Vera asked was about resolution, you can't use any photo bigger or smaller in Photoshop willy-nilly. But I'm not sure if I have the resolution handout, because it's usually not important to Illustrator. It's something that matters in digital design techniques where we combine programs. So I'm noticing that I don't have it here, the resolution. Oh, yeah, here it is. How to resize images for email. Oh, well, that's not the right one. Huh. I'll have to come in and put, this is fine. This is not the one you need. Okay, I'll have to put the other one in here. I'll copy it from the other place and bring it in here. For those of you who want to learn more about resolution, let me head over really quickly to the Photoshop because you guys need a different one here. I clicked on the wrong one. This is the one that you need. So I'm going to make a copy of that one really quickly and then put it over in the Illustrator handouts. There we go. Okay, so when you guys go for the change shape, yeah, that's good. Okay, so now if we go down here, it's gonna pop up in a minute. All right. It takes a little bit of time before it shows up. But it'll show up any minute now. If I put it in the right place, didn't I? Yeah, let's see it. I'll check and see if it copied in a minute, but it'll say how to resize images for photos. And it'll start with the word copy. So I wanted to change its name. It'll pop up in a minute. When it pops up, that one will give you an idea of the conversation about resolution that I don't want to get into in this class, but you can read from there and learn a bit. If you're interested in that whole conversation, you have to know that basically the only thing I'm going to teach you here in Illustrator is I'm going to zoom down again. When we first brought that image in, remember, and I'm going to bring it one more time. So just watch this this is just a watch. I don't want you two guys to do this, just as a reminder that when we brought this one in, Painted Hills, if I just clicked, okay, instead of clicking and dragging, if I just single click, it's same thing as when we opened it, it comes in big, right? So this is the biggest I can make this photograph. That's all I want you guys to know. You can't make it bigger than this, or you start messing up with the quality of this photo. You can make it smaller. And when we had to make this big, it never got any bigger than this. So I knew we were safe. But if you don't know much about resolution and don't understand the whole conversation, just know this rule. Never make it bigger than it's showing when you first click. Okay. There's more to that because if this is set at 72 ppi, there's more to that, but that is a good rule of thumb. Okay. So now I got rid of that. Let's go ahead and do a save as, because this file, as you might notice, is still called paintedhills.jpg, which this is not a JPEG file anymore. So we can't really save it this way. Let's say file, save as, and then go to wherever you put your class files. For those of us who are on Google, I'm going to go to my drive, which is where I put the personal class files. Illustrator Class Summer 2, for those of us who were here last week, we created a new folder. If you weren't with us, maybe you didn't have this folder yet, make a folder somewhere in your computer for your class files. And then here we're going to have the Painted Hills, which notice that by default, in my case, it's trying to save it as an SVG compressed. Now, I really don't want to save it as an SVG right now. I want to be able to keep editing it with all its layers without compression. So I'm going to click on that and I'm going to say save as Adobe Illustrator. Now, let me explain a little bit. SVG is the way you would send this vector file if you were going to the internet, if you were going to put this on the internet. And since you have a big photograph in there, which would be a big file, it's trying to compress it. And that would ruin the quality of the photographs. So if this truly were going to the internet, then you might want to first work with the resolution of that photo in Photoshop to compress it the most you can. But if not, the Illustrator is compressing it for you, and it never does as good a job as Photoshop itself would. So anyway, let's change it to Adobe Illustrator. Sometimes the things I say help people who've done others of my classes. And if you haven't done others of your classes, when I'm talking about files and resolution, just know that when you take a few more of the different classes, you'll begin to have a better, more rounded information. All right, so now paintedhills.ai, that is good. And what I'm going to do, instead of just calling it Painted Hills, I'm going to call this one a clipping mask, okay? Clipping mask, because that's what we did. If you want to remember, you can write rock and sky or something like that, just to remember what it was. But clipping mask is the tool that we just learned. And I like to have the files remind me later if I want to learn how to remind myself how to do a clipping mask. I'm going to save that file. And whenever you save, it's always going to ask you whether to make it compatible. You're always going to say yes, okay to this one. And there you go. Now it's saved as clipping mask rock and sky.ai. Okay. All right. So that was fun. Let's close this file. You can leave it open if you're still working with it. Actually, go ahead. Now, I'm not going to actually work. Normally, I leave things open when I'm going to keep working with it, but I'm not going to keep working with this. So we can close this file. Okay. And I missed Bridge, and that Bridge helps me see the files that I'm going to open. So I'm going to head over back to our in here for a second to look at my files. So now last week we've learned quite a bit about how to create different basic shapes to make. So let's head back to the Illustrator here. With some of these basic shapes that we modified. Okay, we had the basic shapes were we call the primitive shapes, which are the squares, the rectangles, the stars. Even though it seems more complicated, we're still part of one of the closed primitive shapes. But now I showed you later, here we go, some samples of how to use the pencil to begin to create your own shapes, remember? Did I end up showing you the blob tool? I believe I did. Did I get around to showing you the blob tool at all? No, I did not get to the blob tool. Okay, all I showed you here was the pencil. Monica, what did you use to make this?
I used the trackpad.
The trackpad, with tool, with the pencil tool?
My finger.
Yeah, but what tool on your
I did
mouse?
it just on the
pencil
pad.
tool?
Yes.
The pencil tool, yeah.
Yes.
And then the pad. Yeah, no, that's
My
great.
finger.
And your finger. Yeah, so I was going to say, when I told you guys that what you should use if you want to be able to write, because it's really hard to write, like look at Vera's valiant attempt to write. Yeah, that's about right for a mouse, right? It's really, really hard to write with a mouse. That's actually amazing, Vera, because I can almost understand. I mean, I can understand what you wrote, but it's never that good. But I noticed that Monica had a bit more fluency here with hers. And yeah, so I told you guys about the pen that I'm showing in my photograph, but which is a graphic stylus. But the plan B would be, yes, if you have a trackpad, you can be a little bit more fluid. But for the most part, with the trackpad, it's harder to handle the rest of Illustrator. So I highly recommend a mouse or a tool for these graphic applications, just because it's hard to work with the detail that you need on a trackpad. But if you ever need to write, then yes, resort to your trackpad if you don't have a pen or draw.
What's a beginner's Wacom tablet?
Look at Saul, by the way, he always put this cool stuff. Last class we did, in a class that he was in, we did some robots, and then look at that. You went ahead and made I really went more intricate with it. Well done. Nice. Now, today we're going to do a little bit similar to this, and I just want to show you guys that it looks so good, right? But in the end, if you really pay attention to it, it's very simple shapes, okay? And so with the shapes that we learned last week, once we start combining them, you can create this that he just created. He just is really good at thinking through and being creative with this, but this is really squares and rectangles and circles. See, a few extra things that you might not know how to do yet, a few shapes that aren't really squares or rectangles, but for the most part, you've already learned how to do quite a few of these things. So yeah, nice. So thank you. Yeah, to your question, Vera, I'm going to go here to this web page, and I'm going to write the word Wacom, because Wacom, it's hard to, I think some people pronounce it Wacom, Wacom. I don't know if it's Wacom or Wacom, but anyway, those are the letters for it, Wacom or Wacom. I'm going to go ahead and put it in the so I'm writing I'm going to chat for a second. Okay, so I just wrote the name there. There's other brands. This is the one that's been around forever. I've been using this Wacom pens for 25 years, ever since I started working in I was a designer and then an art director and an art studio and all that at work. They presented me my first one and I was amazed. This we're talking 25 years ago, so this has been around forever. So if you go down here to like Wacom US, for example, they have a ton of different ones. This is not the best place to buy them, by the way. They don't even sell them, I believe, through their website. They just show you what they have, right? So I'm going to go to products over here. And so these are the pens or styluses, different things. And so the pen tablets is the one that I'm talking about right now. There's a whole display. Once you get really, if like you become an illustrator and have a gazillions of money to spend, this is actually a monitor. It's a monitor with a pen that you write straight onto the monitor. There's there's a whole computer, you know, so we're getting really complicated, but I'm just talking about this here, the pen tablets. And when you click on that, why is it keep showing me about cookies? I don't want cookies, thank you. So these are all the different tablets that you can get. And as I said, there's other brands. My son has one that he won in because he got first prize in a competition or whatever you call it, in a challenge. And he got a different brand that works just fine. But these are the ones that I'm showing you just because they've been around forever. And the cheapest one is they usually started around $70 and they go up to thousands and thousands of dollars, right? So you can have this whole range, but the cheapest one is definitely now the Intuos used to be the cheaper tablets. I'm wondering if this is even, I'm wondering if this might even be cheaper, because usually the smallest one is this that I have here that I'm showing you in my photos is the one I use. So it's just it's a small version. They have small, medium, and large. But I don't know what this one is. One by Wacom. I've never. I don't want that. This one looks like it might even be, yeah, a choice for students and beginning artists. This might even be cheaper. I don't know how. If I go to shop now, usually they send you to different, you can get it at Amazon, you can go to the Apple store in town. If you go to Best Buys, those kind of places sell it. But if I click on shop now, let me have an idea if these are even cheaper. Does it say price? I don't want to say yes to that. Oh, no. Okay. No, the Intuos Pro. So the Intuos, right? Okay, here you go. So there you go, around $70. This is the Intuos graphic tablets, the small one, small size. It says here in color USB. That's good enough. That's more than good enough. You can spend a bit more and go between 70 and 100. These are all the basic beginner ones, but you don't need that bonus software it comes with at all, because you guys have all of this, you know, Photoshop, Illustrator, all that kind of stuff. Now these are Bluetooth, right, or USB, so you can do wireless or not, versus this is only plug-in wired. So that's the difference between $70 to $100. Everything else, it starts getting more and more expensive, which, you know, if you have more need for that, that's where you would start. Okay, so the Intuos. I'm trying to see what the white, oh, there it is. Wacom, this is a new one by Wacom. It's small, it's color. This might be more than enough. I mean, ambidextrous, this might be more than enough, which is $50. This is the cheapest one I've ever seen. Usually the cheapest one was $70. So I'm not sure. I would have to find out a bit more to see what the difference is between one and the other. But anyway, you use it like a mouse, like a pen, right? And move like everything I'm doing right now, I'm using this instead of a pen. Anyway, so there you go. That's what I recommend. I know that, as I said, my husband, my son has one that's pretty good, which is a different brand. So I'll ask him what the brand is for his. I never remember it. All right, back to now to Illustrator. I had closed it. I guess if you guys didn't close it yet, please close it. Let's head over and let's create. Let's say file new. So we're going to just create a new file, new this time. By the way, I was just going to, I said I wasn't going to use Bridge, but I want to show you that it's much easier to see the images in Bridge. And I'm feeling hampered having to go always back to my classes, but notice how easily when you go to file, before you say new or anything, one choice is browse in Bridge. It's right there, you know, because all the Adobe applications, when you say file open, you can open, create new, or you can browse in Bridge, and then you'll see them, all the images in Bridge. But anyway, since I said right now I wasn't going to open it, I'm going to stick to that for now. And let's say file new, and then again we have the choices of beginning or not. So we've always been going with the basic beginning letter size. Let's spend a little bit more time here looking at the choices. So go with the basic letter size before we continue. I think I showed you really quickly last week how going to a couple of these changed the choices. Now let's this time change them ourselves. We're just going to change the size right here. And so if you go in here, one thing I want you to know is that you could, my alarm. That's actually not a bad idea. I was about to start on a new file and my alarm usually warns me that it's about to be break time so that I remember to go and head towards giving us a break. But since we're about to start with something new, why don't we just create this new file, leave it blank, and then be ready, leave it blank and then get ready to start. So what I'm going to do here is I want to start by making more artboards instead of having to make them as I go. I'm going to head over to the artboards and I'm going to click up here and I'm going to make 3 artboards to start with. Okay. And then let's go ahead and make these a square. So I'm going to go with 5 by 5. I'm going to click in here and say 5. And then you can tab your way down. If you hit tab, you have all these different. Oh, I was thinking of something else and I hit escape. Okay, so we're going to go with tab 5 by 5. So I'm going to hit tab and then tab again. It heads over to inches and I tab again. It's back in there. So I'm going to say 5. And if I tab again, it goes here and I tab again. So, you know, if you keep tabbing, you go through all the fields. I prefer to just tab mainly when I'm in between 2 sizes and stuff like that. Other than that, we're going to say create. So basically it's just it doesn't matter which orientation because we're making a square, 3 squares, and I'm going to say create. Now, since what I just made is custom, next time we try to open something, it'll tell us, do you want to open custom file? And as you can see, when I make 3 tablets, instead of making them one after the other in a row, if I make them each time they come in a row, when you first make them, it just automatically assumes you want to see them more like in this configuration. It makes absolutely no difference where they are, but they just show up this way so you can see all of them at once. All right, let's leave that where it is. I'm going to stop my share. Let's go ahead before we launch into the new project. Let's take a break. So let me see, what time is it? It is 10:27. Oh, it's one of those numbers that's hard for me to calculate because my brain goes visual but not math. So 15 minutes on that would be 27:37 plus 5 would be 42. So we're going to be back by 10:42 a.m. Is that correct? Yeah, I think I got that. 15 minutes. See you guys. I'm gonna mute you guys, so make all the noise you want.
Set a timer for 15 minutes.
Hey, everyone. Is everyone back? All right, cool. So I am I'm trying something out that isn't working. Let me see. Sorry, there's something that I was trying to do. I'm unable to do. There's a command that I'm trying to find it. Oh, well. It doesn't matter. All right. Save changes. No, I was trying something out and it didn't work. So, all right, is everyone back, you guys? I don't see the ones that I normally see. It makes me think that you guys are not there. I'm sharing my screen. Oh, I'm sharing the wrong screen. Share the screen. All right. Oh, there you are. Good. Yeah, everyone's back. All right. So, how was break? I had my son was in the kitchen. He had just made himself this yummy piece of toast and saw me walk in and he said, "Here, you have a short break." So it's so nice of him. Set it all up for me. It is so nice when they become like human beings, you know, older. They treat you and they're always humans, but you know what I mean? They can actually think about others. I still have one in each stage. I still have the kid who's like, me. And then this one's like, oh, you're so nice. All right. So what we're gonna do now is, I wanted to show you for a second. During break, I opened Bridge. And I just wanted to show you, for those of you who've never used Bridge before, one of the advantages, because I'm not going to have, I don't need us to use it, but I'm going to use it because I like to see my files instead of just listing their names, because I don't remember by heart the names I gave it, one of the files that we use. And I just added some. So when I have to go and find them by list, I don't really recognize their names. And so I'm going to be using this. But as I said, it's not really pertinent to Illustrator. So this time I'm not going to have us open it. But I wanted to show you really quickly. This is an exercise we did last Illustrator class that I taught. And we made this little robot. And Saul was in that class. So it's kind of cool to go from this robot to the robot that he posted in here. Look at how much, more intricate and complicated. So pretty cool there. Well done. So, all right. So, so we're going to talk a little bit about shapes, and I'm also trying to find that quite a few of you guys took the last class and the one before. So as always, I'm trying to find things that are still new stuff, beginner stuff, but I also want, there's something I need to teach everyone that some of the other guys already know that you all need to know. But I always try to find it a different way around it so that it doesn't get so boring. And so some things get repeated, but for the most part, they don't. So I just wanted to say how the reason I showed you this isn't, I'm just not trying to, not only am I trying to make, Saul acknowledge with his work, but I also wanted to show you that with the few elements that we've already learned, here's a bigger one of the same. With the few elements that we've already learned, we were able to create this little robot. Because in the end, if you can notice, it's made out of triangles and circles, a couple of rounded edges. And when you put those shapes together, there you have a little robot, right? There's one thing that this little robot has that as opposed to just circles, is that there's some elements here called compound elements that make it transparent. So I don't have an example here where I made him where he's transparent, but through the belly of this robot and through the eyes, you could see the background that it was floating in. So we're going to talk a little bit more about grouped objects and compound objects to figure out how to make that. The reason I'm sharing you this one is because we're going to be doing different drawings this time. But I shared with you guys this file, and I'm going to hit spacebar to show it to you. And it's a basic, illustration, but with everything I've taught you just in the first class, you can now make this illustration. Other than I haven't shown you how to do gradients yet. So there's some gradients here in the hills, but I've taught you how to make, straight lines and shapes and triangles, and that's really all it takes to make this little illustration. So we're going to be, and then there's one more that I brought in, and I think it's down here as well. And I'm gonna hit that one. And same with this, now this one's a little bit more complicated. It has also some gradients here to give it shape. It's a tiny bit more going on. There's another gradient here in the background, but if you look at it, this is just a bunch of circles put together. But when you put them together and make them into a new shape, you can either just group them or you can join them to make that new shape. Okay, so we're going to be talking a little bit about how to create the, oh shoot, I did it again. Hold on. I hit backwards and I left VDI. Give me a second. And there's one more that I set up here that I've never done before that I'm going to give you guys as homework. Maybe we'll tackle a little bit of it here in class, but which is up at the top. It's called Beach, and I just found this one. And now this might look much more complicated than everything else that I just showed you, but if you really think about it and pay attention, in the end, these are a lot of lines and square, I mean, it gets more intricate, but as much as the reason I showed you the little robot that we made in class and how Saul made this other robot, this is basically a little step ahead of these basis shapes that we were making. So we're going to keep practicing, but how does it work when you have these shapes and you combine them to make a few other shapes and stuff like that? And then what I'm going to assign you as homework, so I'm already telling you right now, there's many little houses here. And there's not many of us. So I'd like you all to choose a little house that you're going to try to make on your own and then see what it takes to make it. So we're going to learn more now about what it takes to make these shapes. And I mean, you could individually have a lot of little loose shapes do this, but it's going to be easier once you know how to combine and stuff like that. But yeah, and if two of you want to do the same one, that's fine, and you can use your own colors. But what I'd like is to see if you can get how, with a couple of basic movements and shapes, you can do just about everything you want. Now, there's a couple of things we might not know how to do yet that have to do with like these little curves. We barely touched on how to create images that have curves or things like that. But this door here, for example, can be made like with a pencil because it's a little bit more fluid and drawn, but everything else here is made with basically the primitive objects and the tools or a couple of curves. Okay, it's just done in a way that's pretty fun. Colors, and combine these things in many different ways and you get a nice. So that said, I wanted us to start with this, the easier one that we have here, which is this landscape. Now, I don't want us to use the already made art, just to use it as inspiration. Okay, so I thought I had the PNG of this, but I see that I have the SVG. So the other one that I showed you, the rocket, I believe has both. Yeah. So let's go to the rocket instead. Let me get rid of this. There's an extra one today. Just with a break. Okay. So notice how here in the rocket, and you guys have the files just by file names. I'm showing it to you here because it's easier for me to show you, but we have the PNG rocket 3126 PNG or rocket 3126.ai. Okay, so this is the pixel version and this is the Illustrator version. Now, I do not want us to bring the Illustrator version. I don't want you to already have this pre-made one. It's there if you want to, check or look at it later how it's done or whatever. But I want us to, in this file that we just created, we made it a 5x5, which probably for this image is not a good idea, but we can adapt those artboards. We're going to bring in this PNG, using it a bit as a template to kind of not trace, like pick it up from them, but to use it as a background for us to visualize when we want to see what we're doing. Okay, so anyway, I was using Bridge just to show you this, but let's head back to Illustrator now. And I have.
Are we placing or opening it?
We're going to place. We're going to place. Yeah. So I'm gonna. I'm just trying to. I'm dealing with my video is doing something weird, and it's got this little bar down here that wasn't letting me get to the taskbar. I don't know why it's doing that. Okay. So. Yeah, it's kind of like it's not fitting in my window. Give me a second. I need to. What's happening? I've just got this really strange thing going on. I might need to close my. There it is. It kind of crashed on its own. Something was wrong and it could tell and it crashed. I'm losing. I don't have my taskbar. Come on. Taskbar. You are taskbar. Okay. All right. There we go. My screens are having it. Okay. So we have these 3 pages. We're going to go ahead and do file place, which is what we did earlier with the rocks. And we're going to go find down at the R level for rocket. There's the 2 rocket files. One is the AI. We're going to ignore that one. And the other one is the PNG. PNG is another raster file. So it'll come in the same as before. I'm going to click on it and say place or double click, whichever you want. And it's going to come hanging on the tip of my tool. Okay. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to click and drag and make it as big as one of these pages, which means it's going to be 5 inches wide by I don't know, probably 3 or something high. And when we click away, it looks like we have a whole bunch of white down here, but it's really just the continuation of those white clouds. This could be a perfect way to make an invitation to a little kid's birthday party or something like that. So now let's zoom in on that and let's select it. Let's get over to the layers and then open the layers. And what we want to do here is we want to lock this layer by going. So when you go to layers, you have to expand. I don't want to lock my entire layer. I actually just want to lock this rocket image so that it cannot be affected. So it's that second layer. And if you want to, you can double click right here and change its name and call this one locked. So later you remember how come it's not working, because you might want to grab it and wonder how come I can't select it anymore. Because once you click in there, you lock it. It is now not selectable, not usable in any other way. Okay, like you can't reach it, but you might forget. You might go, oh, it's not working. And it's because it's locked. Actually, let's zoom into it a little bit. And because it's not selected, I couldn't zoom in directly. I had to zoom in. So we're going to work on recreating a little bit of this. When we create any other element, it's going to all pop up inside this layer 1 right above. Okay, so let's start by zooming in enough to create some of these stars. And as you can see, when I zoom in more, see how I'm beginning to see the pixels here, because this is a raster file, it's a PNG file. And our goal is to turn it into an element, an Illustrator vector file element where the lines are going to be sharp. So since we did all those little stars last week, and thus we know how to do them really well, let's head over to our star tool. First thing I want to do is, my fill is already white, so that's pretty good. I do have a stroke on my star by default, and so I'm going to get rid of that stroke, which I can click on this little icon, black outline icon, and then that gives me the colors, and I'm going to just say no stroke. Okay, so now I have a white fill, so this won't be transparent. It'll truly be white. And now I'm going to, here's, remember I told you that you can create something from the middle or from the corner. If I now try to make this star, like I put my mouse here and try to make the star, it's going to show up in a different place. Okay, I'm going to hit that delete. If you have an idea, which in this case we do have an idea of exactly where you want to go, you can put your mouse kind of in the center of it and then hold down the Alt or Option key. And then when you drag out, you're creating that star from the center point. So it gets a little bit easier to automatically place it. You know what I mean? It might not be perfect, but instead of being completely in the middle of nowhere, which is actually another good, let me cancel. It's actually another good way to do it, is to make it in the middle of nowhere. And then you go, ooh, how do I bring it in there? Well, you hold down the space bar. I'm still moving it, right? Hold down the space bar and it disconnects from the background. And then you kind of put it over it. Then you let go of the space bar and then you move around and move the space bar and you move around until you kind of have it the way you think it should go. And I'm going to get a little bit bigger than my template. And when you like what you have, you let go of your mouse and there you go. That's your first star. And I'm going to back to the selection tool. And there's my star. Now, if you wonder, there's that little blue outline that you have there. That's just the outline of the paths and the borders, but it doesn't have a stroke. So it truly isn't. Now I'm going to head down. I'm going to say Control or Command 0. So that this is the one star that I have. But now it's going to be really easy to just hold on to this one, hold my Option or Alt key, and then drag out to make a little copy to go right there. And if I look at my layers, now I have 2 stars. Okay. And in fact, you know, before you do that, if you want to, I'm going to undo that. So I have only 1 star. It's easier in the future when you have many elements. If you go straight to your layers first, double click and call this one star, right? Because now when you hold down the Option or Alt key and drag it out to make another one, you're creating another star. And then later when we create a cloud or a circle, you'll know. So there's another star. So I'm just holding the Option and Alt key. And then I'm going to grab another one right there and make another one there, another one there. So I've kind of made all my stars that I need. And each one is an element and I can click and drag and turn them on. Now, how do I see that I've made them? I can turn off the template or the locked one, and we're left with just a blank page. Remember, the blank page is supposed to help us see the elements, but in this case, is it helping us? Well, the stars are white and the background is white. So who remembers how to see the transparency? Just to check if the, double check that the stars are there. You go up to view. When we talk about the word see, consider if you just want to see a screen differently, the word view helps us with that. And then I'm going to show the transparency grid. And then I can see there my little stars that I just made. Okay. And I just made them really quickly by dragging instead of copy pasting. You could have just copy pasted, but the only issue with copy pasting is that then you have to drag it into place. Now, this is going to make it hard to see our stars because I don't want to be, even with the transparency, it's hard to see. So one thing that we could do is give ourselves a bit of a background behind these stars, right? To begin to see if we can see them. So I'm going to go ahead and create just a square, just a rectangle. So click and hold on the star shape, click on the rectangle, and let's give it the property. Let's say that it's going to be some kind of blue, sky blue. and I don't know which right now, any of these blues, cyan, and later we'll work on making a gradient. But I'm going to make a box to go underneath all of this. Just fill my whole little 5x5 with this color. And when I create it, it pops always on top, remember? So now I'm going to grab this rectangle and drag it down so that it's right under the stars. And then you should be seeing your stars. Does that make sense, you guys? So I know some of you guys, I might have left a little bit behind. All I'm doing is I made all these stars, but it's hard to tell between your stars and those stars. If you turn them off, it's just white because there's a lot of white elements here. So I just made a box, filled it with a color. It could have been green, yellow, or whatever. I happened to put cyan in it. And then the important thing, since you made it after, as an afterthought, so to say, you can now grab it in your layers and drag it down, and there's the stars that we created. Now, you can call this something background, fake background, something like that, or you can just leave it without, you don't need to label everything as long as you know what it'll be or if it's obvious. Now we're going to end up with, I'm going to have with the fact that I'm not seeing my template anymore because this rectangle is opaque and I would have to turn it off each time I want to see it if I want to use it, which is one solution. Or I could grab this box and instead of making it completely opaque, I could go back to the properties and maybe bring down the opacity of this fill so that I can see down enough that I can see my white stuff, but I can also see that little rocket. So this kind of gives me like a 50% opacity. So it's much lighter colored, but now I can see my new elements because the white elements are a pale blue. And so, you know what I mean? It kind of gives us a little bit of a way to see down to my original image if I turn it off, but it also helps me still be able to work around trying to get those shapes myself. Did that work, you guys? Let me know if anyone has any questions. Please be aware that a lot of you guys have taken my classes before. So if this is the first time you're tackling Illustrator and trying to do this and you're feeling like, oh, well, no one's asking questions and I have questions, please ask your questions. It's your turn also to be, they were new the first time as well. Okay.
Okay, I cannot bring down my opacity. I only had one star, but when I go to the opacity,
okay, so
you slide.
Okay, so this is important. You need to have selected that box. Okay, so if you don't have it selected, you can't bring down the opacity. So click on that blue box that you made.
Okay.
Then does the opacity show up for you in the properties panel?
It did. Yes, I found. Okay.
Okay,
Right.
and remember, you won't be able to change the opacity of the locked one. You can't do anything to the locked one. You can you can unlock it and then do stuff to it. But the idea is we're going to keep it locked so it doesn't, affect us. We use it kind of as a template, as a tracing layer, so to say. All right, so yeah, you'll learn soon, Monica, because everyone else here has heard this me say this many times, that if I were to have ever charged, say, not even $1, let me say 5 cents for every time that my answer to a student over the last 25 years has been, is it selected? I would be a millionaire. So knowing that, whenever I'm not around to answer, or if I'm busy with something else, just go, she will probably ask me whether it's selected. So go check if something is selected, because that'll take care of 90% of your problems. And then there's some bizarre problems. But for the most part, selection is the key culprit. Okay, like the first time you said it's not working and you had to select both elements. Now you had to select the star. So consider that how many times I answer to people that it's selecting, and I'm trying to get you to know how to help yourself when I'm not here to tell you that. It's like, I can't hear you. You're muted again. I see your mouse moving.
So I'm still stuck at resetting my star.
So
it's really weird, and I can't get it to making a cute little star.
Okay, so I think yeah, Vera had found the solution to that. She went to the star tool, right? And I think you said you hit with the option is what you did, Vera? I can't hear you. Can't hear you. Your sound, Vera.
You put your finger on the option, it goes back to the default looking star. But if you take your finger off, it goes back to the crazy star until you turn Illustrator off. And then
Okay, options should not, it was interesting. Options should help you pull off from the center, but not go back. Like if I have a, let me see, let me think it through. If I have a very complicated star with many, many little tips, right? And I delete it and I try to make another one, my finger being on option doesn't change that. So I'm wondering, my only solution has been to single click and then change the number of
Okay,
points.
so yeah, so what should I send it to? You have it on,
Well, now I have it on a ton of points. Let me go back to 5 points, I believe is a basic start. Yes, let me see. So when you click here on like 5 points and say, okay. And that kind of give me the basic start. So I'm not sure, Vera, how you're getting that. I'm glad it's working for you, but that's not what I get when I get
ooh,
option. But
okay,
okay, did that work? Do you have a,
no.
okay.
Can you just show me what kind of numbers you have in there? So maybe I can just reset it like this,
Yeah.
like the radius numbers.
Yeah, so like 1/2
5.
inch by 2 inch, or, you know, you can just say 3, 2, 5. You can make it bigger or smaller. So as I were to go, so if I were, this was to be 3 inches and this would be 2 inches, which are very simple numbers, and 5 points, and I say, okay, well, that got
Okay.
really big because
I have something that looks kind of like a star. Now I just have to make it smaller.
yeah,
So I
perfect.
select it, correct?
I think 3 to 1 works. Say, okay. Yeah, that looks like a star, and then you can hold it by the corners, and make it tinier.
Uh-huh.
You know, it doesn't need to be the same little fat star that they have, or you can make it that way.
So
All right. Once you've made one, you can just drag it all around. Now, let's go ahead and there's a lot of little tiny circles. By the way, if you want to make those, you should know how to make those little small circles, but let's go and make one of these little clouds. And then that gets repeated. So this is also a bunch of little circles. Okay. So if you can kind of imagine where that circle is, a better idea as usual is to put yourself in the center of where you think that circle will be, and then hold down the option key when you draw your star. And there you go. An oval is coming out. And if you hold down the shift key, then a circle comes out. And that kind of is about where it should be. I noticed that it came out blue because that's the last thing I selected or painted. So I need to go back and make it be white. So I'm not sure if yours came out white or blue, but there's my one circle. Now I could keep making circles like that. Okay, it's one idea, but or I can just duplicate this one and resize the circle. So there's many ways to do this. Like what do I mean by that? I can now grab this one and say option and make another one and then resize it. But remember, when you first make them, you're going to have, it's just going to look like a bunch of circles that overlap. Okay, so I'm going to make that one there, and I'm just holding on the option key, and then I'm putting that one there. So that's a beginning, but it certainly hasn't given me the shape that I was looking for. In fact, I'm going to select them all. Whoops. I'm going to go and lock this layer too, because that one moved. I just locked the blue layer because it's going to be hard otherwise to select in the general vicinity, because I just wanted to select those 4 things, but then I ended up selecting the rectangle. So since it's part of the template, the background, I've locked it. Okay, I'm going to go back to my properties. So now I'm going to grab these 4 and drag them up here or down here so you can have an idea of what I did. I just used the same size circle and kind of placed it over, okay, about where that should be. And see, I went for the curves. See that? So it's not like they were bigger or smaller circles. They were just kind of placed where the edge is beginning to wrap. And it's not finished, of course, but it's a good start. Okay, I'm going to do that. And then in this case, I grabbed all four, moved it down so I can keep looking at that to see. And now let's see what we do with these things. So does everyone have these 4 circles created to make this little cloud? It's basically one circle. And then I just kind of dragged it with the Option or Alt key to make my copies so that the outer part of the outline is working. Now, let's go ahead and see Control 0 and Control minus. Oh, I had already moved that background before I locked it. So let me unlock it and move this guy back into place. And lock it again. All right, let's back out and I'm going to teach you some things before we can make this cloud. I'm going to teach you some stuff here on these other pages. So let's move over here. So here all we made is 4 circles and let's leave it at that. And I'm going to head over to this page. So what I did is I went Command 0 enough that I Command minus enough that I can see everything. And then I hold down my space bar and I scooch over to this side. And now let's go ahead and make 2 circles. I'm going to make 2 very differently colored circles. So one, I guess, is wanting to be blue. And I'm going to hold down the Shift key so that it already comes out as blue. And then I'm going to head over here and I'm going to change. Actually, let's just make 2. It's much easier to just make a copy of it and change the color of the second one later. Now, when I copied it, I forgot to tell you that I held down the Option key, but I also held down the Shift key so that it pops up in the automatically, it pops up in the exact same angle. So when I select this and hold down the Option key, it gives me the copy, right? But it could end up anywhere. If I hold the Shift key, then it gives me a perfect exact, like I can't move up or down, you know what I mean? Versus if I let go of the Shift key, I can move it everywhere. If I hold the Shift key, it comes out exactly parallel to the one I'm making. So I'm holding the Option key for the duplicate and I'm holding the Shift key to keep it constrained to the same spot. You don't need to be so precise for this example. I'm just showing you tricks, especially remember some tricks are important that you have to do because it's how you do the assignment. Others are tricks that I want to just keep reminding people who are a bit more advanced about different, because in the end, somehow you end up like being a bit like a piano player where there's like all your fingers are down doing different things, right? Oh, here comes Liz. So Liz has taken this class multiple times. And so she's joining us while she's working. So she's listening in. We've already talked about this. And then when she hears something new, she pays attention. Meanwhile, she's doing her art. And she's okayed that with me because she can do all of what we're doing right now kind of by heart. So hi, Liz. Thanks for joining us. All right. So does everyone have these 2 circles now?
Yes.
Okay, so I really need them to be 2 different colors, 2 very distinct colors. We're not talking pretty or, you know, harmonious, just 2 very, very distinct circles because we want to do some learning and it helps when the colors are very different. And in this case, it would be better, again, for the sample if these circles had strokes. So I'm going to select both. And remember, look how I'd selected both. I just made a little, there, that's all it takes. I selected a little box right here that selects a little bit of each. Boom, they're both selected. So just to conserve, you know, strength of time instead of having to go and select the whole thing, which takes a bit of time and dexterity. Just a little box like that is all it takes. I'm gonna head over to the stroke and I'm going to make it bright green. So it's very obvious. And I'm going to make it, let's make a big fatty. So I don't know, 4 points. So it's really obvious. 4 or 5 points, 6 points. There you go. As I said, I'm not going for an art piece here. I'm going for contrast so that we're very clear what stroke and which is each one of the circles. All right. So in order to create shapes that are more basic, more than the basic set, we have to learn how to combine them. The easiest way to combine them is to just join them, right? And there's two different tools that we can use to do a lot of what I'm going to be showing you right now. And so first I'm going to show you some stuff that's on the panel, and then I'm going to show you a tool. So these two, I'm going to select them both because I'm trying to join them. So necessarily the first thing you need to do is not select one, not select nothing, but select both of the things that you're going to join. Okay, so once again, I'm going to do that and select both of my shapes. Now, when you select them, this is the reason I wanted to give a stroke to my shapes, is because a stroke is this thing which is surrounding each one of my shapes. But when I select them both, notice that in this case, I see still the path that has created this circle. Kind of, I'm seeing the outlines. These are called the outlines of the whole element. In fact, one thing I rarely show to this group, but when you have a much more complicated image, it's more fun. But if you head up here to view, you can see just view outlines, where everything just turns into the outlines of the elements. That's it. There's no other portion or part. So if you're ever wondering if you have some weird stuff hanging around in the way and you just want to see it, because this shows you the outline view, which is really all Illustrator is. The rest is just adornment if you want, right? Anyway, so let's head back from view, preview. So you go to, I didn't mean to do that. So go back to view and then say preview, which is the opposite of outline. Okay, so when you go now that I'm in preview mode, I see view outline. When I'm in outline mode, I go to view, I see preview. The shortcut is Control Y. For those of you who use this a lot, it's kind of a good shortcut to know. I don't use that one much in my class, so I'm not going to remind you that one, but there you go. All right, so see, that's the kind of thing that Liz, who's probably never seen that, but got a little nugget, or Saul, who already did a more complicated robot, and so he knows how to handle this. I've never shown you view outlines, right? So anyway, let's go ahead and select both. When you select both here in the properties panel, you have, by the way, in case you didn't align them correctly and you ever wonder, remember last week we did the align? You could also just do this like vertical center align so that they do, in case you weren't sure if they were aligned. It doesn't matter too much right now, but I'm just showing you that this is where you can, if you forgot to press shift, you can align them. All right, so this is what I wanted us to go to the Pathfinder. And the first choice is a very simple choice. It's called Unite. If I hover over it, it says click to unite. So I'm just going to click. And my shapes have united. What happened to the colors? Which one took over?
The top one.
You're right. Monica and Shayna both in their ways meant the one that was on top. Okay, that one takes precedence. Now, yes, you cannot have two different colors in one shape. There's going to be a question of gradients. We're going to talk about gradients, but other than that, two colors can't be there. So the top one took precedence. And had we had two different strokes, the same thing would have happened. The stroke of the top one would have taken over. So anyway, with this is enough. So I'm going to do Control Z one time, or Command Z to undo that. No, basically what disappeared is these inner paths, right? These two inner paths, and we just had the outer ones. So if nothing else, if we head back, there's more we're going to come in here learn, but if nothing else, what we want to do to start with is we want to turn these into one shape. So let me show you one more way to do this, which is I use this tool a lot. Instead of hitting this unite, which is fine, and this is exactly the same thing that we're going to do just with a different tool. We're going to go to this thing called the Shape Builder tool, and it's on our toolbar, and it looks like two little circles, and it's kind of above the gradients, below the eraser. That's the Shape Builder tool. It doesn't have a key shortcut that's really quick, like the V or the A or the T. It's Shift M. So basically I just come and grab it from here. I always forget the Shift M for that one. For some reason, I have so many applications that I learned so many tools. This is one of those where I go, well, my gray matter does not need to remember the shortcut for the shape builder tool. And then when I head over here, watch what's going to happen. Don't click with it, just hover. And notice that anything I hover over becomes kind of grayed out with a little pattern over it. But it doesn't do it just for the one circle or the other circle. It does it for each kind of segment of these shapes. So we'll see what that means a little bit later. Right now, let's just use it in the way that makes me get the same effect as the unite, which means I'm going to click on the blue side. See how the arrow has a little plus sign? Click here and drag through to the next one. When I'm done dragging, I let go, and now I have united them. Okay, so this is the exact same end output of having hit the unite there. I just dragged with that Pathfinder. I'm going to say shape builder tool. I'm sorry. So I'm going to Command and Control Z to do that again. You can do it backwards. You can do it like that. You know, it doesn't matter. As long as all three shapes are covered, that works. All right. So now Control or Command Z. We're always going to go back to this one to see what the other tools are. All right. Is everyone back in their basic set?
Yes.
So Command or Control Z. Come back to this one. And now the second choice we have here in the Pathfinder is click to minus front. So which one is our front shape? In my case, the pink one. Yeah, I don't know what colors you guys made it. Mine is the pink one. So if I click on click to minus front, the front shape goes away, but it's not like it goes away and leaves me the perfect circle. It eats out a chunk, right? So if we had overlapped these a bit more, this is a perfect little moon shape, right? It would have been really hard to draw that outline of a moon. Let me undo that and show you what you mean. Show you what I mean. I'm going to bring this guy like in there and then select both and say minus front. And there you go. Perfect little moon, right? Anyway, I'm going to undo that because I want to keep them at that same distance. But so that's the click to minus front. Control Z. And now with the Pathfinder, so let's go find that Pathfinder tool again. How do we do the exact same thing? Sorry, I always call this one the wrong name. I call it the Pathfinder tool. The Pathfinder tool is this one down there. So I'm saying it completely wrong. This is the Pathfinder. This is the shape builder. Okay. And they do things that are distinct. Right now, we're just doing what's identical about them. So I'm going to head over to the shape builder tool. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to join these two pieces, which sounds a bit like, what do you mean join these two pieces? The pink is already the pink shape. Well, not. When you're in this mode, this is one shape. This is one shape that just kind of happened because of the connection of them both. And this is another one. So if I join these two right there, it becomes its own shape distinct from that one. Now, that hasn't given me the moon cut shape. But if I were to now select the selection tool, click and drag out, hold on. Select the selection tool and then just drag this one out. That actually has given me that. But there's an easier way. Let me undo, undo, undo. So this is really the way we should do that. We should subtract with this tool. So see how right now there's a plus sign under my arrow? I want to hold down the Option or Alt key. And now see how that turns into subtract. And now I'm going to, holding down the Option or Alt key, I'm going to drag across these two and minus front. In this case, it isn't minus front. It's minus whatever I click on, right? So it's a bit more versatile. But I happen to click on those two portions, which is equivalent to the minus front, right? So Control or Command Z. Oh no, it did it again. got really big. Oy. Oh, it's okay. My tools got huge, but huge is better than not there. All right, so I'll select these. Sorry, I'm on the wrong tool. So once again, get back to the basic set and stop me if you're lost or if you need some help. Then we have click to intersect. What's the intersection of these two? It's that little shape in the middle. So when I say click to intersect, I end up with this little petal shape, which is the beginning of many an Illustrator flower. In fact, I always have us make a flower here in Illustrator, and this is how we start. But now let's say Control or Command Z, and let's do the same thing with the path builder. Now you guys would know how to do this one by now with what I taught you. How do I do this with a shape builder tool? How do I get only this left behind? Want someone to just throw out how you're going to do it with the shape builder tool? Hello? Anyone?
Did not get that.
All right.
Ah.
With the shape builder tool, I want to get rid of this and I want to get rid of that. So if I click on it now, I am adding it. It's a plus sign. If I hold down the Option Alt key, it's a minus. Without anything, I have a plus sign. Holding down the Option Alt, I have a minus sign. So now I just click and drag across this one and click and drag across that one. So this shape builder tool gets rid of whatever I want to get rid of, as long as I have it in the minus version, and the minus version is by holding the Option or Alt key.
Oh,
Okay, and that accomplishes the same as the intersect. And now I'm going to say Control Z to bring one back, and Control Z to bring the next one back. How are we doing there, Monica, Shina, and Vera, who are
yeah, the magic was
newest?
to hold the Option key.
Yes, that's the the Option key puts the tools in negative, and it does it across the board in Adobe. The Shift adds things, the Option or Alt eliminates or puts the option in negative or in the opposite mode that you were in. Right, and then the last one of these two is click to exclude. So it's actually going to exclude that intersection. Okay, so it actually does the opposite. It gets rid of that little centerpiece. Okay. So now I'm going to undo that. And of course, in the shape builder tool, that's very easy. We just go to the middle one, hold down the Option key and just get rid of that. And there we go. Now, one difference here is that this allowed the two colors to stay versus when I excluded in the tool here, they all did still turn into one color. It's minor, it makes slight difference, but in the end, no matter which way you do it, you end up with now it might look like you ended up with one shape that does this, but no, they just happen to still be both selected. If I now click away and then click on one of them, I discover no, they're two separate shapes. They just were selected, and once you let go of that center point, they still are two individual shapes. Okay, which you can then Command Z to bring it all back. So that's the main gist of this story. Now, with the Alt Shape Builder tool, you can join and do a bunch of stuff, but we can also do stuff that we haven't yet done. Let's head over. I kind of Commanded Z my way out to keep these two, to keep them here so that we can keep testing with them. Unless there's a particular question, I want to head back to these clouds that we made over here and see what we can do with them. Is there any question? We're all okay? All right, Shaina and Monica and Vera, give me a thumbs up or look at me and smile. I'm like, oh, you're all good. All right. So now, remember I had locked this background so I can, with the V or selection tool, I can just kind of click and drag like that much, and I've grabbed all 4 of them. Right, so I'm trying to grab these 3 plus that little bit. So I'm kind of doing like that, and that's enough to grab all 4. So the first thing that comes to mind is we should probably join these, right? So that they're not individual little circles. So I can go over here and join them with the joined in the Pathfinder, or I can head down here to the path shape builder tool. I'm going to do that one for now. And it's going to be a little bit more complicated because look, I've been showing you how simple and how easy they are, but now I don't need to just join 4 circles with the shape builder tool. I need to join this half moon with this little like petal shape, with this little like, let's call it bow tie shape, with that one, with that one, with that one, with that one. And then I have to come back to get that one and that one. So somehow there is a difference, right? It's probably easier in this case to just click join, right? So it's good to know both because depending on your shape, one might be simpler than another. Does that make sense? In this case, one little click of join, boom, join them all. But with the Pathfinder, I would have had to make sure not to forget, oh, there we go, not to forget these little bitty pieces that are floating out there, which are now, each one of those are their individual little bit, right? So I'm gonna hit join again.
Okay, I have a question.
Yes.
When I try to select my little circles, my whole picture
Background.
with it.
Yeah. So I went down here and I locked that background. I
Oh.
apologize. I locked
Very
these two
bottom. Okay.
so
Lock.
they wouldn't shift around.
All right. Thank you.
First, go ahead and do Control 0 and minus to make sure that they're in place. You might need to unlock them, put them back into this little square and then lock them again because you did move them. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
And then you head back to properties. Okay. So now we have this, the top part of this, which is great, but somehow the bottom part needs to work too. And we're missing that bottom part. So we're going to figure out what's the best way to make that happen. Well, consider the tools that we just learned, right? I'm going to go ahead and what about if we make a rectangle here and just cut across and see, I went a little bit short so I can hold my space bar to make it a little bit higher. What if I click this one here, just watch for a little bit and select both, right? And with the shape builder tool, I can just kind of now drag all across there and let go. Whoop, I joined them. Sorry, you need to have them in minus option mode. Hold all of these bits and pieces and let go. And there I cut the bottom of my shape off. Okay, so this is where it starts to get a bit creative. How to use shapes to create shapes. Okay, so I just made a little rectangle, put it at the bottom of this cloud. And if you put it at the bottom of the cloud, notice that the cloud still has this little shape here. I mean, there's a point to, do we need to make it exactly like that? Whatever, that's a choice, but we can do that. We can do that now, we can do that later. But we can also, for now, make it square. Make sure you get it kind of as low as you can, or you can get even lower and have it already be coming in and then cut it. But I think what we're going to do is we're going to cut it around here and then we're going to reshape that curve. Select now both pieces, which gives us, with the shape builder tool, because it's more targeted, I'm going to go and put it in delete mode, which is holding on the Option or Alt key. And then I can also just single click, by the way, I don't need to drag. I can single click and get rid of that stuff. Pretty cool, right? Now, if you want to keep working on these edges, we can. Who remembers trying to think of how much I showed you the other day. Did I show you, let me go to the Illustrator samples. Did I show you how to modify the curvy corners? I might have. I think here I did a lot of that work. Yeah. Anyway, let me just ask you, who remembers? And let's see, not the ones who know the answer, let it be the people who are new to this class so that they are probably more accurate. Did I show you how to operate with the A selection tool? Yeah. Shayna's saying yes, Peggy's saying yes, so Monica, I'm gonna go with a yes because I believe I did simply, well, not that I disbelieve you, but my memory is that I did, so I'm gonna go for 3 votes over 1. And then if you still don't remember, I'm still gonna review it, of course, because if I did show it, I showed it just very succinctly. So let's go. So first of all, if you've already had it selected with the black selection tool, click away to get rid of that selection first. It's cleaner. And then select with the white selection tool and reselect it. And notice that no bounding boxes come up. Now, when no bounding boxes come up, we can go in and modify these shapes. So I'm going to get up closer to one of these corners. And I'm going to go with Control plus, and I'm going to hold space bar and drag myself over. And then here I have a couple of anchors that seem to be when I made them this way, and I can curve this tip. But if I curve this tip right now, I'm going to end up curving this path. Let me show you. If I go ahead and decide that I want to drag some anchors out of the, oh, duplicate, I'm sorry. If I want to drag some anchors out of this shape, I'm going to end up, there's like a little curve over here that's connected to that, right? So I could make this be like the curve, like that a little bit. So let me undo that again. The way these ended up, it has an anchor there and an anchor there. I need these to stay straight. This is a straight anchor, but I have 2 of them. Zoom in a bit more. I have 2 of them. I see an anchor there, and this is a curvy anchor because it has handles on both sides. I'm going to play with it. And then I'm going to say Command Z. And then I'm going to play with this bottom one, which is a shorty. But see, this is like a shorty on one side and a longy on the other side. I'm going to Command Z. But this one here has only one anchor, which is this curve, because it's a hybrid path, and this side is straight with no anchor points. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring this path in a little bit more. Then I'm going to use these handles to curve the ends of this cloud, which I believe would give me near enough to this little curvy corner. Okay, maybe I need to bring it a little bit more in. There you go. So if you think that it needs to be a little bit softer curve, the further in you bring it, then the more you can move the handle.
Diana, what does it mean when it turns red as you move it?
Does it
turns
mean, I don't know, that it's being selected, I guess? I'm not sure. What turns red? The word.
curve. As I move the curve up, it turns red and doesn't move anymore.
Since I do not know what you're saying, I'm going to ask you to share your screen. Let me first go ahead and make this one happen. I'm going to move it in. And then I'm going to grab this handle, and then I can help you. I just want to make sure I have my little guys ready to go. Let me stop my share. There we go. Can you share your screen? Because I'm not 100% sure of what you're talking about.
Here, when I
Hold on. I need to zoom in because I see it very small when you first start sharing.
I'm holding down the mouse.
I see that. Ah, interesting. You probably have the version ahead of me, you probably have 2022. I'm using the school, which is 2021. And yeah, you have a choice to use that little circle from in there yet to make the curve. So go ahead and tip it out, dip it in.
I did that and the other curve went with it.
It's just showing you which curve is being affected. Oh, because, okay. Yeah, so go ahead and Command Z to undo that, because first of all, you might have needed both curves, so that's fine. But if you don't, then you need to click and then click again to alter only one. Okay, so go back until they're not joined. There we go. Okay, so now you click on there, and when you click again, see how now you're affecting only one.
Okay, have to be more careful.
Now
All
in your case, you might need to make another little circle to cover that little blue triangle, and then join them all again so that it all becomes part of one. But first, go and get your corners done. Get your other corner done too.
It snaps.
Yeah. Don't forget that you're in circle making mode, so you need to leave circle making mode. So you need to choose another tool. Yeah, there you go. And that you need the, no, you need the white selection tool. Yeah. So click one more time. No, click one more time. It's a second click, separate it from the rest. And now you can operate it on its own.
Okay,
Okay.
then here I need a circle, a white circle.
Yeah, you had made one. Okay, now you're making another. That's good. Okay, and then there's something here on the right side where you have that little like indentation. That's good enough for that.
I don't know.
Yeah, you're in circle making mode. So when you're in circle making mode, you cannot do anything. You have to let go of the circle. You have a circle tool on, go back to the selection, or in this case, the white selection tool. Yeah, and now go to the background cloud. That one's fine for now. Leave it there. Click on the cloud, on the main cloud. And yeah, you need to go to the right to that little kind of indentation you have there. And no, the curve is fine. Go to the, yeah, go to the one to the right, to the left of it. Yeah, select that one. Select that one more time so it separates from the rest, like another click. When you're not, you need to click right on that. Yeah, right there. Just click. I can see that red, the rest of them have to turn white. Your mouse might not be exactly on it, but when you click right on it, then it, okay. And now you can hit the delete key to get rid of that vector. Nope, it just broke your break. So say Command Z to undo that. Okay, so that's not going to work. So zoom into that little corner, please. Just Command plus. If you had that selected, it'll zoom right in there. Get more, because zoom in a bit more. You just want to see that really carefully, right? So zooming in as your friend. There you go. Okay, so now maybe what you need to do instead of that one, get rid of the next one to the right.
This one here.
Yeah, try that one. Click on that. And now hit the delete key. No, you seem to be breaking. I guess when you join them, it's like you're breaking the shape. There needs to be a path between them, but the shape is being broken. So undo that. Command Z. All right, so you're just going to have to modify it. So go ahead and bring the tippy one that's going in, go grab it and move it to the right.
This
Like
one
front,
here.
no, that's the handle. So go down to the anchor, which is the very tip of the, on the left side of like that little indentation. Yeah, select it and then just drag it out so that it follows the curve. Yeah, and now you need to fix the handles a little bit to make it look better. I mean, since it's a cloud, it could be all billowy, but in general, yeah, there you go. Cool. So I'll stop your, and then the other one, now you have to select the circle you have in the top plus the big cloud, right? So with your regular selection tool again, it's easiest to first select that little one that you know is there, even though you can't see it anymore. Go click. No, put your mouse. Yeah, because it's white on white. But go and you know it's there. So put your mouse over it. There, click. You just know it's there. So you need to remember what shapes you made. Now hold down shift and click on the big one. Now you've got both selected. Now go and do a little join in the Pathfinder on the right, and then that white one will join the rest.
There.
Or unite or whatever it's called. And perfect. Now you can zoom out and there's your little cloud. Okay, well, real zoom out. There we go. Oh, you're making it so tiny.
Beginner's luck.
Now, where's your shape? Where's the rocket shape that we're using to draw on top of? Do you have it there somewhere?
I don't have it up yet.
Ah, all right. So that's what we need to do. So let me help you do that. Go ahead and command or go to the left, like hold down your space bar and let's move over to the left artboard. Yeah, that's going to do a file place. And then go bring in, I think it was called rocket. So in the R, all the way down. There it is. And the PNG, yeah, that one. And now you can click it at the beginning of that shape on the left, like go to the very top, put your mouse, well, okay. And now keep going all the way to the right. Okay. And now in the layers, we locked that.
This one here.
Yeah.
So how do I?
Oh, no, you had it. You were just not looking at it. Look, you had it next door. See how it appears, that bottom
okay.
one? You had it, but you had it next door. So now the new one you brought in is way at the top. See it? In your layers, you have this one twice.
Okay, so I need
So
to.
just go ahead and delete this one then that you just brought in, because just
Well,
hit
but-
delete or Control Z. Yeah. Oh, I mean, you have one, right? So no, you don't need to delete that one since that one was there. Click
Delete.
this one, yeah, and hit delete. And now let's go back over to the right. And there you go. You have it. You just, I made it bigger. It doesn't matter. This is really where the only time where it really doesn't matter, because it's a vector. Everything we're making is going to end up being exact, resizable. So go grab your little clouds and go put them over the other cloud pattern. Since you didn't make them sitting on top of the clouds, they're not identical, but it doesn't matter. It's a good cloud, right? Doesn't need to be identical. We're just recreating this. It doesn't need to be. So go click on your clouds and then just put them over the little cloud, and you're going to have to then duplicate and make a bigger one, a smaller one, and a third one. Okay, so I'm going to show that right now. So I'm going to
Would this previous rectangle blend with what you're doing now?
no, this
Okay.
previous rectangle I use just to see. So I make it as big as a rocket. So go ahead and make it as big as a rocket instead of moving it around. I mean, just go make it, just go put it, the corner of it in one end. It's easier. Okay, there you go. And then go and lock it as well. But actually, if you look to your right in your samples, you have a star in between them. So I would take that little star and drag it up so it doesn't get sandwiched in between. Yeah, drag it up a little bit. Yeah. And then now lock the two backgrounds. To the left of the little eyeball, to the right, go to the eyeball. Yeah, and then that little space on the right of it, click.
Here.
No. Go back to the eyeball. Right next to it, there's a little space. No, click on the eyeball. Right, no, you went too far. Right there, a little bit to your left, and that little block of space. Yeah, click. That's the lock. And underneath, lock the bottom one too. Perfect. Now those two stay locked, and everything you do is on top of it. Okay. Now that cloud, move it over to the similar shaped one. Yeah, click and select it and put it. Well, I would say that it's similar to the shape of the one on the left side.
Similar to this one.
It's similar. Yeah, you can put it on top because now that's it. That's the cloud that you'll have. So just move it on top because we're trying to imitate. So just put it on top of it. We're going to hide the bottom one. It's going to be, yeah. And now hold on the Option key and then drag it 2 more times and then resize. One is going to be smaller and one is going to be bigger. So yeah, put it Yeah, put one way over where the other big cloud is and make it, hold down the shift key so that it doesn't distort. Yeah. And if you want, you can flip them also to make them look like a bit more variation.
Oh, how do you flip it in Photoshop? You can transform.
Yeah, you could here, or you could go to the transform. You go to the properties panel and the flip is right available right there, but you can,
Okay.
you could have done it there, but you can go to the properties panel here in Illustrator. Properties panel is right next to the
Here?
layers panel, yeah.
Okay.
And then see right under those numbers, you have like at the top where it says transform. Yeah,
Yes.
there's on the bottom right, those little flip. There we go. So you guys, click and
Okay.
it flips. I mean, you don't have to flip, but I'm just showing this for everyone. You can flip your clouds. They don't, they have, they do have one flipped. That's true. And the others are the same. And then put them on top. One, what's going to be smaller, one's going to be bigger. All right, so I'm going to stop your share. Your stars should have no stroke, probably, to match the look of this art.
Okay.
And
I'll
you
change
can
it.
decide that your stars are going to be different sizes. You guys can get a bit more creative than making it exactly the same, right? You don't have to get it to be looking exactly the same. I'm just kind of going by this as my all right. So now I'm going to put this little star, this one over here. Then I'm going to hold down the option and kind of make this one much smaller. And I'm going to go ahead and hold the shift key to make it a bit smaller so that it kind of goes over there. I just want to, these are, I'm using these shapes to teach you these things about joining and whatnot, but you can complete the picture, so to say, on your own. And now, oops, undo. Another option to this one. And this is the one that I was showing Vera how to flip. And I showed her, back shortcuts. Okay, and I was showing her that here in the transform panel, you can flip horizontal or vertical, and that's a good way to flip, and then throw it in there, make it a little bit bigger, and that kind of is imitating these clouds. Now, with that same token, looks like these are the same idea. In fact, you could maybe make one more option, drag, and make it bigger and see if maybe this could be the beginning of another one or not. But, probably not. But you can make your own. You can decide that it's the beginning of another one, then make other, or you can start by trying to match it and make them exactly the same. It's up to you how much you want to try to do that. I'm going to go ahead and try to match a little bit. And so we can do this one relatively quickly-ish, but this is exactly the same thing as a small one, right? So you guys can finish this while I'm explaining other stuff, and some of you guys are needing my help and others are not. I'll let you guys do the 2 rows of clouds and all that, but meanwhile, I'm gonna go ahead and, whoops. Instead of doing that myself, if you ever get into this mode where everything gets kind of ghosted up, you're in this thing called isolation mode that I'll teach you about actually coming up, but I don't have it right now. And the way to get out of this just doesn't matter if you know the rest, just get out of it by hitting escape. The escape key gets you out of it. Okay, so just know that and then keep going. Because you get into that mode. So anyway, I'm gonna leave that there. I'm gonna keep working with this to make the 2 rows of different clouds. First you join one, then you take the bottom off, and then you make another one. And in the future, the second one is of these clouds is gonna actually have, take this thing off. The bottom one is a little bit light blue, the front one is white, the second is light blue. But anyway, right now, when I look at my layers, the problem of not having joined these, like, by the way, I forgot before I duplicated the clouds to call them something. And so I'm going to call them little cloud cluster. I guess I could call it cloud cluster, little clouds. And then that all three of those can have that name. When you have so many objects, it's good to kind of call them. I think I'm gonna small cluster. Right. And then there's the little stars in the background. Anyway, let's just move up to the rocket itself. Before we go to the rocket, I think I showed you a little bit about the lines last week, right? Where you can make different widths of lines. Didn't I show you that? You remember?
Yes.
Altering the width of lines. So I'm going to go ahead and make these lines just as a reminder. I can just make a regular line segment tool. And I'm going to go and make it, I'll make it next to it instead of right on top of it white so you can see. And I'm going to make it, yeah, actually, no stroke, that's true. I'm going to make a line here. And it's going to be white in the end, and I'm going to make it maybe, well, I'm going to make it really fat just for now to show you to remind you about the tool, and then I'll make it a bit thinner. So I'm going to start with 3 points, and then I'm going to go get this width tool, which is right underneath the eyedropper, right? And then with this, you can grab the edges and bring them in or out. Remember that, right? So in this case, if we're trying to make these little tips things, what we should probably do is bring the tips in like that. Keep the center wider and then bring the tips in again, right? So I left this center wider for you guys to see what I'm doing. See that? And now when I think I got it, I can make it much thinner again. And then that's that. Oh, my tip didn't end up. You have to zoom in. Remember with Illustrator, you can keep zooming in, zooming in, zooming in. By trying to do it without zooming in, I left the tip a bit too fat, so I need to get it a little bit thinner. There you go. So I get my 2 little needle tips with my bit fatter center, right? And maybe I want the center to be a little bit fatter, so I'm going to grab that again and just widen the path a little bit more. That sounds about right. And then I can put one there. That might need to bring it. I think I need to get a little bit thinner again.
Diana, can you repeat this step again, how to make the line?
Yeah. So first zoom in, right? Because for this, you want to make sure that you see the, I'm really zoomed in. So I go to choose a line, which is my rectangle, the very bottom one is a line.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to make sure that I have a white stroke.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm going to make it a bit fatter to begin with to make it more obvious. It's a 3-point stroke, and I'm going to go and click from where I can see that it's beginning and ending, which is kind of a little bit further. So click and drag. So I'm making a really fat one, right?
Mm-hmm.
To make it easier to show you guys. And then I go to the width tool right there, the width tool right under the, and if you don't remember about it, you play a bit about with it, you can click in and make it thinner or fatter. So you kind of put your mouse in and you go in or out. So with this tool, if you pull out or in, it depends on which direction you're tool. You're really messing around with the width of the tool. See that? So if you do that to the very tip and bring it in, it's going to end in this needle point kind of tip. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So now I'm going to, after I practice, I'm going to say Control Z because I messed this line up so much, it's going to be impossible to go back. So Control Z. And now I'm just going to grab the tips and make them needle point thin. And then if I make this other tip needle point thin, the whole thing is going to be a line, right? So first I need to grab the middle and make it wider. Then I can make the tip needle point thin.
Mm.
Now I've got this long line. Once I'm happy that my tips are really good, then I can grab this and go, well, it should probably be a little bit skinnier. Maybe there. And I think that kind of looks good.
Mm.
And that's
Okay.
my line. Now I back out. I guess I made it a little bit too long. So as with everything, I hold the shift key, grab one corner. It happens to be one line, but as long as I hold the shift key, I can make it a bit skinnier. No, I don't need to hold the shift key because it forces it to be 45 degrees. That's true. It's a line. So no, don't grab the shift key. Just make the shape about the right size. And then we're going to put it over here.
Okay.
And then hold down the option key. This one looked like it was a little bit further up, and then this one is a little bit further down.
Thank you.
And there you go. Now I've got my three little rocket lines. Don't forget, I haven't saved anything yet, and it's still untitled, and I put a lot of work in this. So let's do a big old file, save. I'm going to do a save as, and I'm going to put it in my drive, Illustrator class files, number 2. And let's call this one my rocket instead of the original rocket, and save. And say okay to this one. All right, and if you want to see how that's working, you can turn off the rocket, the original one, you know, and see now I've got my 3 clouds, 5 stars, 3 little lines. I haven't made the little circles yet myself, but anyway, that's what we've got going right now. Okay, and I've made the circles here for the background, but I haven't yet turned them into the shapes. I'll just leave those off for now. So I'm going here to the layers and leaving them off just so it's not confusing. I want to focus a little bit on, because basically doing that, I'm just gonna have to draw another line, cut the bottom off. I just want to, maybe I'll just do it since it's quicker. Let's just do it. Since I have them, I'll select all these. Like that. Put them all together. Oh, I need to make a box first. I'll make a rectangle, a white rectangle. I'm going to go even bigger. I'm going to go Command minus so that I can have my rectangle start way over here. Oops. I'll just start way over here and drag it over. And now I select them all. Now I'm going to use my shape builder tool on the minus or mode, which I get by hitting the option or alt key. I'm going to drag myself across all these little edges. And when I let go, I still have to join what's left. I noticed that I actually first do this before I can join them. And looks like I need to. Go. No white color. I have a stroke on my cloud. No fill. Because the last thing I had no fill, and the stroke, it turned into that. So now there's my cloud. I'm not going to do the second one right now. I want us to, because I'm looking at the time, I'm going to look at the rocket. I'm going to teach you about gradients and stuff, but let's look at the rocket because this is going to take a little bit more irregular shapes than the bottom ones. Of course, the circle, you know what the circle will be. We're probably going to end up coloring this with its gradients. We're going to do more talk with colors next week. Okay. How are people at? Are we ready to work on the rocket? If not, remember, everything we've done right now is repetition. Once you made one cloud, then you can finish all the bottom clouds, right? When you made one star, you can finish a star. So basically, as long as you made one line. So I just want to make sure that you all have that basic set. Oh, I noticed that when I was deleting stuff, I got rid of one line for some reason. So I'm going to grab one more, do an option and drag. Now, one thing that you might want to do as you do the ones that are you're for sure are correct. Like if I'm sure those 3 lines are good and I don't want to get rid of them, like I just by mistake got rid of them, you can also lock the 3 lines, right? You can lock the stars because you're kind of done with them. In this case, you know where they're going to be. You got the 3 little clouds. So I'm locking everything that I know is not going to move. Now, in reality, that's not how design works because you don't know exactly where things are going to go. You might be moving it a little bit to the right. But once you know where you want it, you lock it and then know that as long as you try to select it, you can't select it. Don't get worried. It's just because you locked it that remember that you're using locks so that when you do, so right now everything is locked. I'm going to double click on this one and called it big bottom cloud, for example, to that one. And then I'm going to lock it for now. And now everything is locked. So now everything I make, nothing can move and nothing can be deleted. Okay. So now I have a different challenge. These are shapes. These are who's coming in? Someone can in with a second computer or is it someone
Yes,
else?
it's me.
Okay, good. Yeah, because it says guest and I just want to make sure that it's one of us. Cool. All right, I'll let you in. Okay. Remember that since our class finishes at 12:30, and in this case, I have to rush off. Usually after 12:30, I say answering questions. This time at 12:15, I'm going to make sure that you get any questions you have in. I'm going to try not to teenage and very new after 12:15. There's so few of you guys that if at 12:15 you really don't have any other questions, then I'll keep teaching something new. But I'd rather make sure that you share your screen, you show me where you're done. I'll help you with your background. Make sure that everyone gets to the same place I am. Maybe you don't have all your clouds, but as long as you have one cluster of clouds, one star, you can complete it yourself, right? So we're not going to finish the rocket today. We're going to get as near as we can. Some of you guys might want to head and work on the rocket on your own, but then you'll end up like being bored when I do it with everyone. So I recommend if you want to move ahead, like I said, to work with making these little the little beach houses, right? Or any of these other things, or just pick another design of yours. Like Saul just went and made a robot. I find that sometimes people are better at imitating something when they're learning than inventing on their own. Clearly, Saul doesn't have that issue or that problem. So if you guys want to create your dinosaur, your butterfly, go for it. But if not, go for one of these and see what you can do, right? And if it's a bit too advanced, then try to simplify the house, right? Or if it's not, if it's too easy, then complicate the house, like work at your level, right? Okay. So I'm looking at these shapes that we have here. And there's something completely irregular like this that we're going to have to make separately. We'll work on that differently. And then there's circles that we know how to make. But does anyone recognize in all the stuff that we've been doing some other shapes here that we did create today? Yeah, what's that, Peggy? Tell me. Your sound is off.
When we made the crescent shape out of this interlocking circles.
Yeah. So remember when I told you about these two, we have this shape in the middle that was so easy to come with when we made two circles. And that if we just modify how close or how far these two are to each other, and you look at the inside, some of you might have a little fat intersection like that, make it a little bit skinnier, and you check, you end up with something that could be this shape, right? And then we just chomp it off, just like we did with those. Does that make sense? And then look at the flames. 3 of those put together, joined, and then chomped off could be the flame. Does that make sense? So we can make maybe not that exact shape, but something very much like it. But if we head over here to our second page, right? I want to keep this as a sample. So since we have 3 pages, maybe what you can do is you can select these 2 and then copy by holding down the option key down there. So that stays as our place where we do the learning. And then these 2, go ahead and go to properties or go to the shape builder, whichever is easiest. I find that probably the easiest is to go find intersection. And there we go. Now I have the beginning of that shape for me. Yeah. Now for some of you guys, you might have made a one that's a bit fat. We might need a skinnier or fatter one or something like that. But remember, with the selection key, you can always modify the width or the skinniness of it, right? What you need to have though is that these 2 needed to be aligned for this to work. So you need to make sure if you don't have them aligned, as one is a little bit higher than the other, you're going to have a weird little intersection there. So select, if you're a little bit off or you don't know, it's so near that you can't tell, just check, select them both and go over here to align and center align them. Then that intersection will be good enough for you to now play around. Okay, so now I'm going to take it, whichever width it is, I'm going to do another copy, bring it over here, and then I'm going to hit Control Plus, and I'm going to try to make this one work. So for sure, I even have a fat stroke on this one. Look at how easy that is. I can make this work for the 3 flames, right? So I'm going to make it much smaller, make my stroke much skinnier. Oh, I'm going the other way around because this has a stroke and it has a gradient, and I'm going to teach you about gradients next week. So be patient with that. But see, if I put this there, looks like it needs to be a bit skinnier. Make it a little bit thinner, put them there, and then hold the option key and put it there, and then hold the option key and put it there. I've created the bottom for these 3. I'm going to select all 3, make the stroke even, maybe just 2 points. And we can get the colors of it, you know. But for now, all I'm trying to do is shapes. So now I'm going to join the shapes, right? And there we go. That's kind of my 3. I joined shapes. And now I can make a little rectangle, right? And then make it skinny. I'm gonna, my alarm saying ask questions. That's the 12:15. I'm gonna have it have no stroke. So I'm gonna just incline this line, right? So basically, remember when you have a rectangle of any size and shape, it doesn't matter what size you made it. If you were to grab any outside the okay, let me go and put my mouse maybe up here. You can see it better. I'm going to make it bigger. Any rectangle that you make when you're in your selection tool, when you put your mouse right outside these edges, it turns into this little, like you have to wait until it turns into double-sided edge, and you can flip it, right? So if you make it here and you put it right on top of that, you flip it there, it's not totally ready yet. I hold on and I flip it in a bit more. There you go. Now I have it in the right direction. Now I just need to do is have both of these there. So I'm going to put this there and then grab this, put it about where it's supposed to end, right? And select them both. Don't forget that part. And then with the Pathfinder on, sorry, the shape builder tool on the option key, I can cross all of this and get rid of it. And there you go. I've made my flames. Now let me try and get the outer edge. I can make it a light brown, the stroke, and then the inner stuff for now, I'm going to fill with the dark brown, and then we'll learn about gradients next week. But there you go. Maybe it's that brown. One of those for now. And then that's the beginning of my flame. And I think actually I'm gonna have 1.5 stroke or something. So like here they have a 1 point stroke or a 1 point stroke is too little. A 2 point stroke is too big. So you can write in, you can select that little 2 and you can write 1.5, right? So you can make the stroke your size and hit return. And I think that seems to be more adequate. Now, the bottom, this bit of it will be hidden under when we make this piece for the rocket next week, right? So I want to stop for a minute here and ask, how's it going? Because I know that some of you guys are like, okay, been there, done that. Hopefully you're working on more complicated stuff. And others of you are like, I have no idea where I'm at. Please help me. I'm way behind. I understand that you're all over the place. So please speak up if you're needing support. This is the time. Show me your stuff. Ask me your questions. What did or didn't work? Where did you get? Where do you have questions?
Okay, I'll ask a question. I have
Yeah.
my flames look like 3 surfboards. And
Okay, I'm going to stop my share, and it's easiest if you share so that I know what's happening based on the true.
and I was on my way to put it under
Okay.
the rocket.
Yeah, the
Um,
only difference with yours and the rockets is that the rockets changes in altitude. So before you cut them and put them together, see how they're like 3 surfers because they're right next to each other in the same exact spot. Just grab one and just pull it down a bit and another one pull it up a bit, and that'll give you that little feeling of different. Yeah, there you go. And then maybe make the one on the right a little bit out a bit higher. No, yeah, like long. No, don't change the shape of it because you want the shape to be the same. Just grab it from the center and make it come out a bit more, like down. I'm saying out and I mean down. Yeah, so that it's a bit longer. Yeah, there you go. And there you go. Just if you look at those flames, you see I put them straight on top because it's easier then to imitate. But if you do it like this, it's just fine. Yours will have the same look and feel, but it won't be identical. And it doesn't need to be identical. The idea is the look and feel. So that's good. Now,
Would be able to join all these with the
yeah, but wait. But what you don't want to do is join them with that square, that rectangle you put on top. So first get rid of the rectangle. First you want to get the shapes put together. So just grab that rectangle right now and move it off for now. You put the rectangle at the end when we're ready, but now you want to join these 3, right? So select all 3 first. Remember, that's the key, is having selected the elements that you need in right now. Yep. And by the way, is the white thing locked underneath? Yeah. Okay. So there you've joined them. Perfect. Now go back to your selection tool and bring that other guy on top, but make it bigger, right? Much bigger, way bigger, way bigger. Yeah, way bigger. Because you have to have it hide all those extra tips, and even if you make it huge, it doesn't matter. You need to get to the width of the whole thing. So just go exaggerate. Yeah. And now bring it down. Oh, bring it down onto the flames so that you hide.
so
There
I
you go.
hide.
There you go. That's ready to go now. And now you select both shapes because now the flames are one shape, right? And the other one's right. And now you go to the shape. Yeah. And now you get Option or Alt key, not there. Move it out of there. Yeah, Option or Alt key. And now drag it across the whole stuff covered by the box. So start from the, nope, you did it. So undo. Yeah. So put your mouse on the white, put your mouse right on the white. Yeah. Move it up to where the rectangle is. And now drag no, bring it down. Yeah, bring it down. Yeah, a little bit lower down, like half an inch down. Yeah. And now with the Option or Alt key selected, just draw a straight line towards from there to the rocket. Just right across. No. The rocket meaning like left, east to west, just across. Do not touch what you want to keep. You want to take only what you don't want. So you want the bottom, so don't touch that. So straight across to the left. Yeah, get those peaks. Yeah, perfect. Now let go.
Okay.
Are you holding down to the Option key? Because that looks like you joined them
was not.
instead. Yeah, you joined them instead. So hold down the Option key.
Okay.
or Alt, whichever, and then drag left. Yeah, you need to grab the top of those tips. You seem to be avoiding them. So undo that, undo that. Yeah, so you need to, yes, from there, not from the top like you went, from there, hold down your mouse, hold down your Option Alt key and drag all the way across straight left. Just move it left. Yes, all the way into the green. Yeah, let go.
Let go here.
Yes,
Okay.
perfect. You chopped everything you basically need to touch what you don't want. Good.
Then move it
Now,
to the,
then move it to there and twirl it, and make it smaller, change the color, whatever you need to make it fit that. Okay,
okay, it's a little
Perfect.
flashy, but it's okay.
no, it's perfect. You just need to make it a bit size, the size is too big, but other than that, it's perfect. And the color, of course, we start with these bright colors to see the shapes when you're learning, but then it'll match. All right. How about, does anyone else want to share where they're at? Show me what they're doing. Remember, I need to see your work. I know that I see it later in the Padlet. I definitely need to see it in the Padlet. But if you have anything you want to show me that's different, that's new, that you did on your own, whatever, please show me. And you don't need to have the full rocket made because, as I said, we're going to try to work on it next week. So if you feel like finishing, that's fine on the shape, because maybe the top part of the rocket shape, clearly you can see now how to do it because it's the equivalent of what we did from the bottom. I have a few more minutes. Yeah,
I do
Shayna?
have a question. Sorry, I know
Yeah.
you went over this probably twice, but I couldn't keep up. So it's for
No.
the lines of the rocket ship at the bottom underneath the lines. For some reason, I
Yeah.
can't figure out how to point them.
Of course, and you guys never fear asking me twice or three times. That's why I said any questions, really. I understand that you're being barraged by all this new stuff and that you just need repetition. I totally
Yeah.
get it. Okay,
Okay.
so I'm going to share my screen, or no, share yours. It's the easiest thing when it gets confusing
Okay.
is to have you share yours.
All right, here we go. So this line, I just couldn't get it. Can you see
Okay,
my screen?
yeah. So zoom in a bit for you to see it better. In fact, make it a bigger stroke. Select it and make it fatter. It's just easier.
Okay. Let's see. Let me
Go to properties.
Sorry, I can't see my properties
Yeah.
because
Oh, you have the zoom in the way.
yeah.
Go
let
up to the
me-
word. Go up to the word window, and look for and click select the.
There we go. I figured it out. Okay.
Okay.
Just had to adjust some stuff. Let
Right.
me adjust that. So properties. Let me click this
And then you have
and bigger.
Yeah, make it much bigger. Yeah, there we go. Okay. So now go to the width tool, which is the one under the eyedropper
Under
on the left. Yeah.
right there.
All right.
Yeah.
So now go ahead the center, put your mouse what you think is about the center and make it a little, pull out as if you're going to make it fatter. Yeah. And right now it doesn't matter if you exaggerated it first, right? Because then you can make it thinner. And now grab, no. Undo that because you're going to make a weird thing. Yeah.
Okay.
You don't want that. Now now make it fatter again. Yeah. And now go to the bottommost tip now, not the kind of bottom, and then grab it from the outside in. This one is from the inside out. Now go the other way. Go to the, no. Undo. Yeah. Go to the very, move it to the edge of that. Yeah, right there. And pull that into the center. No.
Nice.
No. Into the center.
Oh, right here.
Yeah, right there. I mean, it would have worked the other way too, but basically because you're going in. There you go. Those are your two tips. And now you can grab these and make them skinnier because it's easier when you exaggerate.
Perfect. Okay.
And then
yes.
There you go. Perfect. Well, look at those nice
think
flames. Well done. I
Thank
like
you.
the orange and yellow. Actually, it looks really good for flames.
And then we'll just do that.
Yeah, perfect.
All right. Sweet. Thank you very much.
And I believe that they're a little bit staggered in the original painting, picture, which I think helps for movement's sake.
Yes.
But those are details. But what mattered is the tool is knowing how to make the width lines.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Awesome. Anyone else wants to share with me? How are you doing? I really invite shares, but if you think it's not good enough, then that's mostly who needs to share, because that means something's not working. If yours is awesome and you want to share, I love it. But I really want to see the ones who are having trouble with one part or another, because that's when you get to learn. Not going to force anyone to share, but I invite you to share.
Can you hear me?
So yeah, go for it.
Okay, can I share my screen with you?
Yes, please.
Okay. Does it come over to your side somewhere?
Not yet, no. After you hit the share, yeah, there we go.
Okay.
Now it's sharing.
So I somehow ended up with this shape here. This one.
Yeah.
I have no idea how.
So go ahead.
Is
and,
there any way that I can get rid of this now?
Yeah, so now you have to say okay always, because you can't do anything until you, okay. Now go and select your selection tool and click away, because you have all of these selected at the same time. So click on the way and yeah, and go and try to select that. But it's probably empty. I can see through it. No,
Yeah, it's embedded.
Yeah.
Somehow connected already.
no. So click away again. It has no fill. It's an empty stroke. So you need to click not in the center, because when you click on the center, you get the bottom. You need to click on that, the black line. So down there, yeah, right there. Perfect. And now you can select it. You can delete it.
Can I just delete it?
Yeah. You look like it's no, it's okay. Looks no, it's okay. I'll tell you why. Sometimes when you make these, you end up with two intersections. So that's what it is. So click again. And that one, go ahead and that one might be connected. Click on the just the blue. That one you might have joined. Yes. Because when you were doing all the join, take away and whatever, maybe you didn't go behind enough. You didn't go undo enough. So you make things on top of each other. So this is now a compound path. You can move it away if you go to the layers. So go to your layers.
Okay. Uh-huh.
Okay, so see how in your layers what's selected now is that just that little one? But move to the right and click on that just the little,
the square or the circle?
the round circle of just that one. Yeah, good. Now you can hit delete and it'll go away. You still have a stroke. No, it's just that you have, yeah, now go back. This is different. This is the part, this one you knocked out. You made a little hole. You made a little hole in this shape. So this one is actually part of the same shape. And if you notice, the shape isn't even circle. If you pull it down, it's like a half moon with a little bitten hole out of it. So like if you click and drag it, click and drag it down. Yeah, see? So now that is not, if you move it over to the sky, you'll see that it's a hole. Move it to the sky. See?
Ooh, nice,
it's an actual hole. It's transparent. So that's part of your shape. So now that you can modify the shape by grabbing each one of those elements and deleting them, just close it again. But when you that when you knocked out, you did one of those, you knocked that circle that we had before out of it. And that's why you ended up with that. So when you also have problems there because the center is not a circle. Like you don't have circles here anymore. You have two half moons, big fat half moons, and then one oval. So at this point, unless you just did it where you can undo and you did this way before you did it, then you're better off just making two new ones.
Okay.
Because you've lost the original ones.
That's kind of what I thought. Okay, so I'll just delete this, make two new circles.
The only thing you still have is one blue circle. But no, look, you still have them there. I see in your paths. Yeah, I see in your layers. You have the copy. Yeah, so there you go. Yeah, so you have the copy. So you still have that. You can go to those to start again.
But I have a similar issue here that I have this.
Select it. Yeah, delete it. That's just
and
a
now
circle.
what?
That's just a circle. If you don't want it, just delete it. Hit delete. Yeah.
Nice. Okay.
Okay. You're welcome. I know it's confusing at first, but many times things get solved by going, okay, I have no idea what this is. Go to the layers and then start clicking on those little round circles to see what is what. Because when you don't put names on them, they just say path.
Right.
It becomes kind of hard, right? But once you begin to name them, it becomes a little bit easier to know what everything is.
Okay.
All right, guys.
Thank you.
You did great. I'm going to close up the class and I look forward to seeing what you do in the Padlet, with the rocket, it shouldn't be finished because we're going to keep working it together in class. So go ahead and select what you have and put it in the Padlet, but then work on other shapes, okay? And you don't need to even be the ones that I suggested. Find another picture that you think you can maybe with these kind of shapes and joining and getting rid of that you can make on your own with all these primitive shapes. Basically, there's a lot that can be made with these original, okay? Get creative with those combinations. You can, one thing I didn't show, like you can put a rock and a square and a circle and join, and then you end up with a little off shape, you know? So you can end up with a lot of different things. Okay, gotta go. I gotta remind myself that I have to go.
Thank you so much.
Bye. See you in a week.
Thank you.
Work-
Thank you. See you next week.
You're welcome. So
Thank
work
you.
hard, you
Bye-bye.
guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye, my son. Bye, everyone.
Bye.